HaWah, make thee an ark of gopher wood. With rooms shalt thou make an ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch, and this is how thou shalt make it. The length of the ark 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. So what are these cubit measurements, man? We're going to talk about it when it comes to quantum, because it's interesting that they use the term cubits with a Q in quantum, right? And cubits with a C when it comes to this technology here, man. For now, let's focus on this gopher wood, because I want to play back. Again, I apologize for the sound, and I'm working through all these screen recorders. Right now, I just took it back to the old school. I just got my my camera phone, my cell phone camera, pointing at my laptop, just like I did off the balcony. Like I had to take it back, a decade ago with how I set up my flow. Because you give these screen recorders too much power, they just keep deleting your videos and freezing your laptop. So, hey, man, we up, man. We gonna keep the water flowing, because y'all telling me to keep the water flowing. We in Prester 148. And we ain't never late, man. We right on time. Hey, out to the cons, Shalom Drop Nation, and Halal HaWah. Make an ark out of gopher wood, boss. Now, gopher wood is found where? I mean, if we just go, where is gopher wood found? We want to know. We want to know. The gopher wood, also known as Torreya taxifolia, is a rare, endangered conifer tree native to a small area in the southeastern United States. Ain't that some shit? Ain't this something, man? Yeah, okay, the gopher wood is found in the state border region of North Florida and Southwest Georgia. And again, who made these boundaries before Florida was, all this was Florida, you know what I'm saying? So, man, in a small area of bluffs and ravines in Torreya State Park and at a nature conservancy, Apalachicola, man, come on, man. Just say it's in Florida, man. It's in Florida, boss. In Georgia, boss. It's native to America, boss. And if gopher wood is native to America, boss, right? Then when we're looking at Genesis chapter 6, right, when Noah's making his ark, got his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and the earth was corrupt, right, before HaWah, the earth was filled with violence. HaWah saw the earth, behold, it was corrupt, and for all flesh that corrupted their way upon the earth. And HaWah said unto Noah, right, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. United States, Florida. Now let's get this drop with the sound, man, so we can be hijack free. Press the 148 on your head bone. Halal HaWah.
Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. But E. Calloway is content, for he has found the Garden of Eden. The truth makes you free, says the country lawyer. I've studied the Bible and walked these woods, and I can prove that this is paradise. And the Lord planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. This sacred spot, contends Calloway, is here to the east of the Apalachicola River in the unspoiled country of the Florida Panhandle. Here grow trees pleasant to the sight, including gopher trees, the long-needled torreya which Noah used to build the ark. A Baptist minister, Calloway started his search after discovering several petrified logs of the wood near the park. That says the woods of fire, he says of the discovery, and here his quest ends, where the river winds its way through the green loveliness of his Eden, all described and documented in his book. Well, Mr. Calloway, you say that this is the Garden of Eden. There it is.
I think about in the center of the garden, north and south. The Garden of Eden, east and west, is not over 10 miles wide, paralleling the river from Chattahoochee down to Bristol. But you're right in the center of it here at Torrey State Park, north and south, between Chattahoochee and Bristol.
Well, now, according to the Bible, the Garden of Eden must have trees pleasant to the sight, and it must have gold and onyx stone and a river of 4 heads. Is this one of the rivers?
This is the Pison River, which is mentioned in the 2nd chapter of Genesis, when it says, a river went out of Eden to water the garden and parted and became into 4 heads. The tree life from Chattahoochee to Bristol is the largest of any other area in the world. The Bible names 28 trees. The best authority on earth have identified 27 of them here, and many more, including the gopherwood tree. The Bible names those 4 river heads as the Pison, the Gihon or Gihon, the Hiddekel, and the Euphrates. The first one was the Pison. The Bible says that is it that compasseth the land of Havilah, which was North Florida before the flood, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is G-O-O-D. The Bible used that adjective to describe the North Florida gold to further tie down the exact location of the Garden of Eden. The next verse says there's also bdellium there, which is nothing but rosin out of pine trees that God instructed Noah to pitch the ark out of.
Now, Havilah, right? He just said Havilah, and he connected with gold, right?
O-O-D.
And it was G-O-O-D, right?
The Hiddekel and the Euphrates. The first one was the Pison. The Bible says that is it that compasseth the land of Havilah, which was North Florida.
Havilah was North Florida, boss? Right. Well, when we talk Havilah, we're talking Havila. Son of Eber? So these have been identified as the original Arab proper tribes, not no Ishmaelite situation or Islam situation. We're talking about Hebrew, right? The son of Hebrew, we're talking Joktan. And he's the progenitor of these 13 tribes. So all of them, are coming out of the seed of Joktan. They are grandchildren of the Eber, Iberia, right? Eber, the original Eber, Iberia, right? His grandfather of Sheba, like Shambhala, like, how they will say, Bathsheba, right? All these titles connected with these queens, especially. Yeah, man, Shambhala, right? Havala, Ophir, all these are connected with cities of Go-O, and they were all to the Tawa, right? They said they were G-O-O-D, all good. So these Arabs, again, are not coming out of, the brainwash of what this Arabic, who spoke Arabic first, right? Yarub. Yeah, his son and successor Yarub, son of Cathay. Who's Cathay? Who's the Cathay, right? Same thing. Get Prester 147, boss. We on the road to 150, man. Joktan is Catan or Yucatan to the Mexico, Mexican, Moshe Khans. Ancestor of several of the South Arabian tribes. And these South Arabian tribes, right, they're connected with these 13 Arabic tribes or Arab proper. The Arab in Hebrew is a lawgiver, so you have to be given the proper law, given and giving the proper law, which comes directly from the Creator through Eber, right, through Hebrew, right? This is the lineage we're talking about. Now we could talk cities of gold, right? Now we could talk Havala and Ophir and all that. And these Arab tribes have a proper and an improper, right? And if you're proper, we got it last time, then they'll start, connecting the nobility of the Arab proper to the tribes of Israel. Because these are the lost tribes of Israel identity right now. We can talk Rus and Russian, Russian, Asian, everything, right? Rus. The Rus are the true. God. Saracens, right? Get 147. We went in on this. But these Arabs are Arab propers because these Arabs are connected with the tribe of Israel. The Arab proper, while the Ishmaelite Arabs were of non-Arab proper stock because they're not, pushing the same law as these rabbis would, right? These ravs, right? These ravs. But pretending to do that, it's not even like just a DNA thing. It's like, what are you pushing that makes you a mustard rab, right? And you want to intermarry with genuine Arabites, which lets you know that there is something to do with the DNA to an extent, because they have to intermarry, right, into certain tribes that will be considered genuine. Not non-Arab stock pretending, but genuine, proper Arabis. Now, this Joktan connects all this. Genuine, proper Arabi. Lawgivers. And Joktan's seed is Havala. And we just heard here that Havala is connected with North Florida, which again is bringing the entire biblical everything right here to India's superior America.
Many more, including the gopherwood tree. The Bible names those four river heads as the Pison, the Gihon, or Gihon, the Hiddekel, and the Euphrates. The first one was the Pison. The Bible says that is it that compasseth the land of Havilah, which was North Florida, before the flood.
Bang.
Where there is gold, and the gold of that land is G-O-O-D.
And it was all to the Tawab. Tawab means good in the Hebrew, man. Look out for it. I'm about to do a whole drop track called It Was All to the Tawab. Let's go, man. The good means that the land is good means you got the gold, man. And the gold is right here in America, right here in Florida, right here in Georgia, right here in Kalaloo.
The Bible used that adjective to describe the North Florida gold to further tie down the exact location of the Garden of Eden. The next verse says there's also bdellium there, which is nothing but rosin out of pine trees that God instructed Noah to pitch the ark out of, and onyx stone, which is marble. And North Georgia, right where this great river has its source, is one of the largest marble areas in the world. The Tate Marble Quarry and Company there, Tate, Georgia.
And again, when he talked Georgia, just remember we talking Georgia, we talking David, right? We talking Georgia. We ain't got to go too far to connect this no more, man. We done aired it out, you know what I'm saying? All the sucker Tonys got to reveal themselves now. You see what's happening in Hollywood? Everybody's being revealed and exposed left and right. Every day, something new, right? Well, we've been exposing and revealing, and it's going to feel new to some, but to y'all, it's going to be like, man, we've been on this, right? So when we hear these jabronis kicking information that's been in our classrooms, it's not our information, it's Hawah's knowledge, right? We just sharing it, but we know whose classrooms they've been in. We know that when they start talking, India supreme and superior, being here, we know. We've been talking Georgia. and let you know that this is the Georgia. And yeah, they got their stuff in Russia today, but who are the Rus, right? Even when they go to Russia, they're still in Rus. They still got to deal with the truth, man, that they're still talking about you and they're still talking about the tribe of Israel. The Rus is the truth. So it's a body bag for the illusion if Gopherwood is here. It's a body bag for the illusion when we start talking Georgia. Because the Georgia connects to the David Exarch king, which is the son of the Prester, right? Husband of Lady Hannah, Anna, which is also Antioch. And this Prester John is paralleled here with David the First. So Prester John is David the First, who's also married to Lady Hannah, right? Antioch, who also has a son named Hanan, which is also Antioch or Canaan. That's why I said choose your Canaan. All Canaans are not from the Ham line. You know, this they could put a C or a K, which they sometimes do, and you got Canaan, Hanan, you got all kinds of stuff. If you put let's say Canaan, Hanan in the genie, right? They're going to take you to these other examples where they have the Hanani, right? Hanan or Canaan. So they can put a C when they want to. They could take the C off. Either way, you got Canaan, right? Or Canaan. And even this one in the genie is going to connect to Yohanan or John, right? And the 6-point star is going to pop up because, you know, you're talking Israel. Exarchs are going to pop up. Abraham, how David is going to pop up, man. And I'm just surfing away with the Hanans, the Canaans, or the Anani, or the Antioch. Yeah, so the Canaan are also the Hans. That's why we got to get back into them Han and you know, all the Mongol dynasties and all that stuff. So this Hanan, come on, man. Come on, Gene. This Hanan is also son of David. And again, Raja Hiraja also has a son, Hanan. Can't make this up. And both of them, their mama is Lady Hannah. Both of them got the same mama, a Lady Hannah. Lady Hannah. Another Lady Hannah. It's all happening. So the Antioch is exactly what we're talking about here, connected with the truth, connected with the roots, connected with reality.
Is one of the largest. So the natural monuments, definitely mentioned and described in the Bible as being related to the Garden of Eden, are here. And they are not anywhere else on this earth.
Bang!
Well, not only are we sitting in the Garden of Eden, but we're also sitting in an area where you say Noah built the ark.
Noah built the ark out of gopher wood, which God selected himself for him to build it out of.
Is this the only place that you know
This is the only place on this earth where it has ever grown.
Bang!
It's the most peculiar wood on earth. You can take a piece of it the size of this match when it's green. You can't break it. You can twist it and turn it. It's the lightest wood on earth. I have had its fibers, its structure, its every phase of it chemically analyzed. There's no other wood on earth like it. It's the lightest. And Noah built the ark out of wood not very far from where you and I are sitting here at Torrey State Park. It was loaded, and then it floated 5 months and landed on Mount Ararat, where we know definitely that it's now embedded in the ice.
Now, there are four rivers that are necessary for the Garden of Eden. What are the four rivers here?
The river went out of Eden to water the garden, says the 2nd chapter of Genesis, and it parted and became into 4 heads. The Pison, the Gison, the Hiddekel, and the Euphrates. That is the only 4 head river system on this earth. when the idea or the notion or the belief that the Garden of Eden was somewhere else or over in Europe or in Africa or someplace over there, the Western Hemisphere was unknown. They did not know that the continent existed west of the Atlantic Ocean. Therefore, they couldn't search this continent along with the others to find the River of Four Heads and these other great natural monuments which the Bible said was related to the Garden of Eden. It came my pleasure and my responsibility and my duty to search the North American continent and definitely point out the same bare natural monuments that the Bible relates.
Callaway points with pride to the official map of the U.S. engineers at Chattahoochee, which shows what Callaway says is the only four-head river system. Callaway says is the only four-head river system in the world.
The only four-head river system, my naga. And again, this Georgia-Florida line, you know, this is something they've just established all this. We talking garden, man, so let's go.
The official map of the U.S. engineers at Chattahoochee, which shows what Callaway says is the only four-head river system in the world. That is a system described in the Bible, where in Genesis, the river flowing out of Eden, which waters the garden, parts and becomes into four heads. First there is the Gihon, now known as the Flint River, which flows towards the land of Ethiopia.
Take notes.
Then the Euphrates, the Spring Creek River, whose name was transferred to the Middle East after the flood. The Hiddekel River is Fish Pond Creek River, which borders the land of ancient Assyria. And finally, the last of the four rivers, the wide and lovely Pison, the Chattahoochee, today a river of trade and commerce. The Apalachicola seems an unlikely name for the river flowing through Eden, but here, according to Callaway, is the heart of the garden. This piece...
I mean, where's your evidence otherwise? You know what I'm saying? Show me another four-river system that connects better than this. And that's going to keep the investigation going for us, but we know we're narrowing it down right here to India Superior, right here to America. Now, he mentioned one of the rivers connected with ancient Assyria. You know, if you rewind it back, let you know that even ancient Assyria, all this is connected with America in the old, ancient, true reality.
This peaceful river is the life source of the lush vegetation of the original habitat of the first man and woman. According to Callaway, the names of these rivers and the land surrounding them were transferred to the other side of the world when, after floating in the ark for 40 days and 40 nights, Noah and his family landed on Mount Ararat in Turkey.
Were they transferred there then? Were they transferred there just to throw us off? You know, did Noah land over there and start renaming stuff? Or did Noah not land way over there? You know, is Mount Ararat the original one over here? These are still questions we need answers to. Again, we don't have all the right answers, but we will learn to ask the right questions. Halal HaWah.
The legend of the Bountiful Garden, too, was transferred to the Middle East, where archaeologists have searched in vain for a four-head river system, such as described in the Bible.
They've searched in vain, so you go find one. But according to them, archaeologists have searched in vain for another four-head river system.
And his family landed on Mount Ararat in Turkey. The legend of the Bountiful Garden, too, was transferred to the Middle East, where archaeologists have searched in vain for a four-head river system, such as described in the Bible. Well, Mr. Callaway, everyone knows the story about the Garden of Eden and the Tree of Knowledge. Do you know where the Tree of Knowledge existed in this garden, and was it an apple tree?
The word apple, or the plural apple, is not even mentioned in the book of Genesis. That's been added on by fiction and superstition. The Bible mentions apple or apple 3 times, but they're speaking of the apple of the eye because it's in the shape of some apples, you know. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is a spiritual tree. God told Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden in the 16th verse of the 2nd chapter of Genesis, of every tree of the garden, of the fruit of every tree of the garden, thou mayest freely eat. There was not any forbidden fruit in the garden. But he told them in another verse, there's one in here, that if you eat that, you shall die. And that's the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Mother Eve thought a good long time before she made up a decision whether or not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And she decided that she'd rather live the 70 years that God had promised them by knowing good from evil and then die, rather than live on a parity with a totally insane person or an animal forever in paradise and never know right from wrong.
Woo! So that's a dragonfly perspective. Eve said, look, I'd rather be conscious for these 70 years than to be unconscious for eternity. You know what I mean? Give me the 70 so I know what's up, so I know better. And Halal HaWah, I mean, you know, hey, let the man have his perspective. He at least is pointing us in the right direction, you know, with our orientation pies, man. And one more thing, if they would transplant the names over there on purpose or because Noah ended up over there, however they did it, they're also transplanting names like the China and Japans and you know, all these other things, Egypt and, you know, even Africa, right? Because in etymology, Afra just means dust, earth, dust. So the dust is everywhere. Afra is everywhere. And this is why those Amexa maps, they got Northwest Africa as North America, Southwest Africa as South America. Afra just means dust. So getting out the mind of a hijack, you know what I'm saying? We can see clearly that all these are vague, indistinct terminologies. Ethiopia is a vague term. Dark skin, burnt faces everywhere you go, to the west or the east, you know. So they just made it some solid one place when they, you know, put the fix in it, you know what I'm saying? Set there, hijack public school knowledge and information to hijack our orientation so that you're always looking in the wrong direction. You want to face east when you pray. Just let the people know that you flipped the map, you know what I'm saying? And then let them know that east and west are clockwise and counterclockwise. Now they spinning on the ball, man. And we out of here, baby.
There is a certain magic here in the heart of these woods, for they are special woods to one man. To him, this sanctuary of nature is more than interesting, its loveliness more than coincidental. It is planned and deliberate. The beauty of this forest contains not only the serenity and quiet of unspoiled and unpillaged land, but the mystery of life and creation itself. The idea, the intimation, and finally for him, the proof that this is Eden, crowns this green glen, that wooded hill, this flowing river, with purpose. They are tangible elements of a beginning that is buried in the hearts of all men,
Wow.
a beginning shrouded in the mists of time and tradition, a beginning that is believed but unproven. For where, after all, did it happen? Was it here or there, east or west, in a now modern city or in a forsaken desert where no man lives? Calloway answers the confusion by saying simply, it happened here. He knows because he was meant to know, and for him this is no ordinary place. He has discovered the secret of this forest, its purpose and its meaning. Paradise lost has been for him and those who believe him regained, and for one man, that is his reward.
Yeah, let the man have his reward, man. Shout out to E.E. Calloway, man, and Fort Lauderdale Times, man. Fair use, copyright 107, you know the drill. We just doing some education stuff, some research. Don't mind us, man. Don't mind us. Yeah, man. All right. Hey, let's go to the IG right quick, man, because I know we did a lot of IG features last time, and none of them had sound. So I'm gonna work my way back, feature a few drops that we featured in 147 with sound. Just make this up to you. Then we're gonna belly flop and jump into some Prester talk, man. You know what I mean? Just keep the water flowing and press the 140. Hey, where should we start? You know what, man? This one got a lot of traction, man. This jabroni here thinks he knows it all. Somehow he got all the drop. I don't know whose classroom he been. He got all the drop. He said, man, let me just do a drop about having all the drop. It's all good, man. We here for it, man. We here for it. And again, let the information spread, man. Let's pop off.
Many Egypts or Mitzrayims. There are many Ethiopias. We have the East Indies and the West Indies. America was known as India Supreme. Mexico used to be considered China. But you got to take a look at the maps from before 1600. As it says in the book of Daniel, they changed times and laws, including maps. Jeru USA Lum. When Christopher Columbus left his land, he brought a Hebraic/Aramaic speaking priest with him. That Hebraic Aramaic speaking priest was able to communicate with all the tribes in the land to a certain degree. It's the Paleo-Hebrew/Aramaic that connects everybody in the world together. Because if you can speak Paleo-Hebrew, you can also speak partial Aramaic, as well as the languages that the indigenous tribes had spoken. That's why you have Abba or Bak or Haba, Papa on every continent. Abba means father on every continent. You're going to find that. Over time, the dialects are going to change slightly yet surely. Remember, America being Jerusalem, being the real Holy Land, is one of the greatest Masonic secrets known to man.
What? America being the real Holy Land, Tarazanta? Is one of the greatest secrets known to man, Masonic, whatever, man. Like, did you know we've been digging on one of the greatest secrets known to man? What else is it?
It's actually of the highest degree of information, one could argue.
Really, Santa Claus? Really? It's one of the highest degrees of information? The highest? It's actually the highest, not one of. It is the highest degree of information to study ancient America and the Hebrew origins and the Hebrew people and the indigenous Naga niggas that's already here and connected with Prester John, who we read in Prester John Legend and the Sources by Keegan Brewer, that the study of Prester John is among the highest studies in academia. This is why they study it in Harvard and Yale. And compare it with the Arthurian studies of the King Arthur flow and all this stuff, because it's all one thing, because they copied Arthur from David, King David. And Arthur just means order. Arthur means order. So the order is of HaWah, given to the shepherd forever, right? King David. So it's not about how many books we read. We could keep, I could read 20 books a day about Prester. There's so much to read. But right now we're hitting them, right where we need to hit them. We're hitting them where it hurts. We're hitting Hijack City right in a soft spot, because we've been talking about the highest degree of information, Managa. We've been talking about the highest level of secrets. Not even trying to, but when you unravel yourself, you unravel the highest secret. The highest degree of information is you, Managa. That's really what he's saying. You Nagas, you niggas, you Black American, African American, you niggas, you are the highest degree of information because of who you are and what you connect to. And these are factuals. And it's a body bag for the illusion.
When you start to look into your sovereignty, your SS number, and your Q sip of water number, you're going to start to notice that they stole your birthright. And then they decided to tax you because they don't want you to know about the price.
He didn't say us. He said you, man. And your birthright is not the same as his birthright. Right by birth. Connected with your ancestors, connected all the way back to Noah and the ark and the treasures in the promised land. In the GOOD, good gold, where they found land that was all to the Tawab. So when they take your birthright and do all this birth certificate stuff and these numbers connected to whatever accounts in the UCC filings and all, your birthright ain't their birthright. What you got locked away somewhere ain't what they got locked away somewhere. He's talking to you.
Private trusts that the modern judicial court system has stolen from the people. This is how they get away with modern day slavery. Another name for King David was Prester John, which means...
What? How you just gonna go from slavery to King David's Prester John? Whose classroom are you in, man? This is crazy talk. You just woke up on a sunny day and started popping off about Tom Mary, Jerusalem, America, and that King David is Prester John, and that Prester John means what?
Which means Priest John.
Stop it. We gotta correct you here, man. Prester John don't mean Priest John. It means Priest King, my nigga. But something in you can't say that, huh? Because when you say Priest King, my nigga, now you're talking of sovereignty. Now you gotta answer the question. Who's the highest, highest king? Who's the King of Kings? Psalm 89, right? Hey, right now, man, this is a victory lap, man. Rest in power, neighborhood knit, man. We having a victory lap, man. We on 148. Come on, bro. We wasn't even supposed to do a 10-part series on this, man. We just are having a victory lap and a great, realization that from now on, man, this is the excitement we are forever gonna feel, knowing that we've been, shot by a strong archer. HaWah's a strong archer who never misses the target. This arrow here, this Drop Nation arrow, my nigga, we were set straight from the very beginning. And the whole world is catching up. And it's not because of me as a scholar, it's because of the wave, of the frequency of HaWah and the energy of you keeping the code, man. The code keepers, man. We got 500 code keepers. Do we got 500 code keepers yet? Do we got 500 families keeping the code? I feel like we are connecting with eyes to see clearly that the covenant is with the chosen, and the chosen is Dawi. HaWah. Yeah. The King of Kings, man. Who's the king? Highest of the king of the kings. Who's the firstborn? Highest of the kings of the earth. Forever will I keep for him my mercy. And it's important to you, I would think, because we're talking covenant. That's always going to be with David. It's important to you because we're talking the seed of David, not the washed out, yada, yada, they trying to claim we are. But that the seed and the remnant is forever and endures forever. Because HaWah ain't no liar. His seed will I make to endure forever. So how can we be washed out? Ka in his throne as the days of heaven, how can he be washed out and replaced by JC? Ka. And how is JC a seed of David if he's an immaculate conception and got no daddy but the creator? Ka. And we ain't got to talk about the seed of David. We could just say HaWah's seed. But we talking David's seed. So this is order over chaos. It's order for a reason. That's why we got to keep the commandment. And we start with Exodus 20. Got us in code. No power before me. Most high over everything. Highest of the kings of the earth. Reminds me of Deuteronomy 28. If you listen, if you hearken, if you observe, we're going to talk observation quantum. We're going to talk 369. But you better observe, my naga, all his commandments which I command thee this day. Then HaWah going to set you high, boss. How high? Higher than all the nations of the earth. And because you are high above all the nations of the earth, boss, that also means that your king is the highest of the kings of the earth. Ezekiel 37, one shepherd forever. Hosea 3, search for HaWah and King Dawi. Highest of the kings of the earth puts you in an order. So you're not in chaos. You don't have to try to find and elect a king and do all these things. You know Ezekiel 37. My servant David will be king over them, and they will all have one shepherd. There is no confusion with HaWah. You want to substitute JC? Go right ahead. But I'm going to stick right here with Ezekiel as my witness. I'm going to stick over there with Hosea 3 as my witness. I'm going to stick right here with Jeremiah 30 as my witness that HaWah's going to raise him up, man. You said JC going to be raised up, right? Didn't they say that? They say JC gonna be raised up again. I say King David is gonna be raised up again. And the root is gonna be raised up right here with him, man. I say all the real ones are gonna be raised up. All our ancestors, you know what I'm saying, rocking with HaWah is gonna be raised up. And David, their king, whom I will raise up unto them. These ain't no studio tricks, boss. This is what happens when you get that yoke off your neck and your bands are burst and you're no longer being made a slave in modern day slavery. This is when you get out this time of trouble, Jacob, and you shall be saved by who? Who's your savior? That's the question. But out of it shall he be saved, says HaWah, that I will break his yoke. Who's your savior? I will burst his band. Who's gonna burst the bands? Who's gonna make sure you're no longer a bondman and bond lady? Who shall you serve first? This means you keeping the code. Then the righteous flock needs a righteous shepherd, natural by law, whom I will raise up unto them. Highest of the kings of the earth, I will appoint him my firstborn. Who's the firstborn? Bond. Remember unto David all his afflictions, how I swore unto HaWah and vowed unto the mighty one of Jacob. Surely I will not come into the tent of my house, nor give up into the bed that is spread for me. I will not give sleep to my eyes, nor slumber to my eyelids, until I find a place for HaWah, a dwelling place for the mighty one of Jacob. Don't turn your face away, man. Not for David's sake. Don't turn away your face from your anointed. Who's the anointed? Who's the anointed one? Christians got to answer this, man. Who has been anointed with the holy oil? Psalms 89. Yeah. With my holy oil have I anointed him. I have found David, my servant. I found the man. I found David. He's my servant, man. I have exalted one chosen out of the people. He's mine, Khan. And he's the one that's going to lead you. He's the one you're rocking with. He's the one shepherd. HaWah. No matter what version you click. NIV, KJV. He's the one, man. My servant David shall be king over them, and they will all have one shepherd. They will follow my laws and be careful to keep my decrees. Yeah, then the nations will know that I, HaWah, make whole Israel holy when my sanctuary is among them forever. And David will be their Khan, their prince forever. They and their children's children will live there forever. We talking forever when we talk David. Stop playing. Stop the play. Wakey, cuz. We all are returning, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's been, one drop at a time. To get this tsunami, man, we got here with one drop at a time. Multiple witnesses. We didn't just make stuff up. We all praise HaWah. We got them one by one. And started connecting one by one. Hosea, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Psalms. You know what I mean? Multiple witnesses. So we know that when we return, we seek the Creator, we get back in code. There is nothing that comes before the glory of the Most High Power. And it's not until you get back in code that you can talk about David. But David is talked about, not JC. There's plenty of room for them to say JC coming. That's your king, and JC, everything in the name of JC, the way they talk, you would think JC's everywhere in the prophet's writings. But David is everywhere, because this is where you connect. In the end of days, you seek the Creator, and David the Khan shall come trembling to HaWah in his goodness in the end of days. How many witnesses, right? So we've been doing this and doing this and doing it well. We connect the Garden of Eden right here at home because they just found you right here at home. So we doing it well. Copper color race is found here. And now this jabroni's kicking all the drop. He got all the drop.
And he ruled on every continent. King Solomon's trading routes helps to prove this. It's also why the largest pyramid in the world is in Cholula, Mexico. It's not in Egypt. They whitewashed and they removed all the real facts. And they gave you a watered-down version of history, a whitewashed version of history, because remember, the term race didn't exist until after the 1500s. White and black, it doesn't exist. It's a construct. Whenever you see white in the Bible, it just means bright. So they deceived the entire world, Matthew 24:24. But now we're waking
And then he goes to the hijack.
up to the fact that America is Egypt, yet it's also Jerusalem, because Jerusalem equals a group or a multitude of different cities, and Egypt can also equal the same. Same way that Ethiopia equals the dark-skinned peoples. There's more than one Ethiopia. There's more than one Egypt. So anyways, it's also why we ended up making the Bible help.
And then he sells his products. Hey, you know everything, man. You got to drop. What can I say? You even know that Queen Khalifa is being
Remember
called...
the flying monkeys, Daryl, in the movie The Wizard of Oz?
Queen Khalifa is being called the Wicked Witch of the West, and the flying monkeys are the what? The dragons.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are the flying monkeys of the present?
Well, they were the griffins to Queen Khalifa, and Queen Khalifa is the Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
So there they show us right there that the Wicked Witch of the West was... I know, they're telling you all the stuff back in 33. Frank Baum wrote the book in, I think, 1894 or something like that. And
they would only call her a witch because she commands these dragons and animals and has this magi magic like King David, Solomon, Prester, John, and all that. Magi magic, man. So, like Ty Battle said, this Salem witch hunt, right? This Jerusalem witch hunt sounds a little different. It's a little different, right? Because the main witch is Kali herself, Queen Khalifa herself. Ain't that something? Wizard of Oz, man? And how'd they make her look, man?
And they made the first color movie, The Wizard of Oz. They put us on our strawmans. They put us out to sea under Admiralty law. So that's when all this began. You know, the whole hiding of it all. And then, so...
They made her look like this. Try to make her hideous, but they still couldn't. They got to give you some truth, and they draped her in jewelry. And they even got her third eye popping out, right? So they couldn't deny that she's draped in jewelry, right? Queen, rich, but they had to make her like Shrek, right? But Shrek represents the Almax. God, let's go.
Yeah, it's really, it is fascinating that this whole allegory has been played out. And the controllers that are controlling us,
Right, so instead of her looking like a beautiful queen, they made her look hideous. But we know that she's draped in the gold and the jewels and has the promise of HaWah with her.
do things over decades. And they got all the movies that give all the pre-programming like 9/11, the towers coming down with Bruce Willis and all the different things. They tell us what they're going to do, and they say, go ahead and try and stop us. So Queen Khalifa ruled with the Flying Griffins, and the Flying Griffins were trained to eat male flesh because they knew the white man was trying to conquer the...
Ooh. Trained to eat male flesh because the white man trying to conquer. We know that these were all black people trying to conquer. White man just got them where they fit in. We know the Spaniards are black. Portuguese are black. All these are swarthy people. King Charles, Black King Charles, right? Black King George. So we know who we up against. I mean, that's the twist of it all. But yeah, these dragons were eating them. This is why they called them devils. The dragons became devils. That's why when you look up the etymology, even Leviathan, man, they turn our dragons to devils. But the dragon just means to see clearly. These griffins, connect to this sight. And it becomes deadly to them. It becomes paralyzing to them. Your glance, your sight, your dragon, even HaWah's dragon. Leviathan. And in Job, hey, can you put a fish through his mouth? Can you control him like me? Like HaWah's bragging about this dragon. So how can he be sometimes regarded as Satan? How can HaWah's dragon be called Satan? And Satan just means an adversary. So who are you saying it's an adversary of who? If you talk about the Arab proper language, the HaWah, not Levi, the V's are hijacked. It's W's. The HaWah means what? To bend, to twist. You're just talking about how it moves, man. We're not saying, oh, you twisted serpent like the Christians read in the New Testament. The twisted serpent. That's talking about how it's bending and twisting and moving in the air, man. What are you talking about? That doesn't mean he has a twisted personality. He's cursed because he's evil. He's just a twisted serpent. What do you want him to do? Not twist? Just for you? Just to please you? So, Leviathan, even HaWah's dragon, right? Talked about in the Old Testament in the book of Job, right? Even he's being called a devil. But the dragon only means to see clearly. And Queen Khalifa, we know, sees clearly. But these hijacks, they tried to make us, blind, right? They tried to blind us to the truth.
Conquer the land. But remember the flying monkeys, Daryl, in the movie The Wizard of Oz?
God, let's keep going. These are just some that we featured. A few that we featured. We featured this one too, about these slave ships, man.
The 19th century helped to build the great new iron ships that were to make the crossing of the Atlantic safer and faster. Just in time to handle the biggest load of passengers that any shipping lines have ever carried. The poor, huddled masses of Europe. And though they didn't know it, these immigrants were to trigger off the development of one of the modern world's most extraordinary inventions. By the 1870s, the immigrants were stepping ashore on American soil at a rate of over 7,000 every day. The journey across the Atlantic had taken anything from 12 days to 3 weeks.
2.5 million people a year that don't look like you. That makes you look like the minority after some time, right? And we said, man, they ain't shipping no millions of us. They ain't shipping no millions of us boss from Africa, but they are shipping millions of them here to America. He's going to specifically say New York and some other spots. And what they look like?
And most of them traveled in conditions that varied from bad to appalling. Many of the bigger ships were designed with only one thing in mind, to carry as many immigrants as possible. And so they came, in filth and degradation, packed in like cattle, and so they came, in filth and degradation.
Filthy. Coming from Europe. Filthy. Filthy, packed like cattle. Ain't that our story? Didn't they tell us that that's our slave story? No, that's their slave story. Because who was the slaves in Europe? Who did the Moors in Europe make slaves? Should I talk about the Yaqub story, the big head scientist again? Right, so They sent him here, boss. Gave him free land. Say, go find some gold, right? Now they living in Beverly Hills and Malibu. and all these spots, right? Gentrification left and right? They act like they got it out the mud, right? But in reality, they came with the mud, man.
Packed in like cattle, treated much the same. The vast majority came to New York. Wow. At first to the immigration depot at Castle Gardens, and then later here, to the place that was to become a symbol both of everything that America...
Let's go. We popping off, man. Hey, we dropped a lot. Go get 147, man. I'm going to feature a couple more. We're going to keep going. Or, you know what? I'm going to feature this drop right here, man. Oh, I did feature this one, man. Because it's just right there in your face. My niggas.
Following Belch's defeat, Tafari sought to secure the title of Negus, the king. Tafari sought to secure the title of Negus, the king. Tafari sought to secure the title of Negus, the king. Tafari sought to secure the title of Negus, the king.
So who's the niggas, man? Who's the niggas? Even they call niggas niggas. So I'm just saying, niggas means king, man. And we brainwashed to hate this word, but we just been calling ourselves kings the whole time. My niggas. Yeah, alright. What else we got, man? Let's go.
I think the firmament, pi, and Nikola Tesla's 369 theory are all connected. This video might blow your mind. So I started looking at pi, and you're basically just measuring a circle. I just stared at this image for a few minutes, and then the Bible verse popped into my head about looking over the circle of the earth. The more I looked at what pi actually is, I found out that you can't really create a dome or an arch in architecture without using pi. So then I started to think, are they measuring the firmament with pi? And then for some reason I kept thinking of Nikola Tesla's 369. So in Kings 7:23, it says, then he made the sea, I think this is the waters above, of cast metal. It was round 10 cubits from brim to brim and 5 cubits high, and a line of 30 cubits measured in circumference. So I started plugging numbers into pi to see if these work. Stick with me, this is all going to pull together, and it's crazy. I had ChatGPT run the math on 3.33 repeating instead of the 3.14 number. For a circle with a radius of 10 units, when you replace pi with 3.33, it converts to 66.6. So the biblical value of pi as derived from 1 Kings 7:23 and 2 Chronicles 4:2 appears to be an approximation of 3, but some interpretations suggest it might imply a slightly more precise value, such as 3.3 repeating. So it says the verse doesn't account for the basin's thickness if the measurement of 10 cubits refers to the outer diameter and the circumference of 30 cubits refers to the inner circumference. The true ratio would increase slightly. And here it just breaks down the math. Keep in mind, this is the quantum computing model, and look at what they call the particles. Qubits, just like in the Bible. And we can energy harvest with
qubits, just like in the scriptures, right? Which one we get with Genesis chapter 6? Let's go back there. We popping off. So I mean, yeah, you know, I know you read it before, but you know, it's good to see it. So when they start talking qubits, we start talking Noah and this ark of gopher wood and these qubits, right? All this qubit talk. Who's to say it doesn't compare at all to the quantum talk? We know that, okay, these are just measurements. We've been taught, at least, these are just measurements of how long something should be. It's nothing to the cubit, right? It's nothing to the cubit. But maybe it's everything to the cubic if you're talking about an arc.
piezoelectric, pi. And the hemisphere would come out to 999. Keep in mind that this is what a hemisphere actually is. So then I asked it to create an image of a geodesic dome over a flat earth model utilizing 3.33 repeating as pi. Guys, my mind is shook. It has the sacred hexagons, and hexagons are the most powerful energy producers. And it even put in a hexagon grid completely on its own. And it looks like it took an ancient astrology map and applied it to the bottom. It looks just like this, and this perfectly explains why Polaris is in the middle and the rest of the stars rotate and how we get our astrology. Not to mention that this looks exactly like this. And this looks exactly like this. And this is an image that ChatGPT created when I asked it to make a 369-degree circle. How weird is it that it even has the circles on the outsides just like this one does? So
who knew that there was a difference between a 360 circle and a 369 circle? But 369 is 18, 1 plus 8 is 9. And 360, 3 plus 6 is 9, so both of these are 9. And instead of pi being 3.14 like we all taught, what if it's 3.33333 repeating? And what if the outer edge is 9999999, the ice wall, and 6 is represented by all the intermediate points, everything in the middle, intermediate, right? So on a flat, circle situation, the center is 3, the middle is 6, the outside is 9. Now, would this give a new meaning to this 666 mark of the beast situation, the mark of man? Is not man supposed to be in the 666, 66666 intermediate region? Is man meant to live in the center? Is man meant to live on the so-called ice wall boundary? You know what I mean? So we know HaWah created this 6 element, for there to be, flourishing life and yada yada. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't get off of your beastness, right? 666 mark of the beast. You can zon up, you can code up, you can frequency up to access these other areas like 3 and 6, but we know that 369 govern the other numbers. 369 is a governor to these other numbers when they break it down and to the quantum and all these others, physics and stuff like that, and numerologies, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So 369 is not the same as 1, 2, 4, 5, all that, you know what I'm saying? And all of it, 1 through 9, add up to 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. So all the numbers, there's only 1 through 9. There's only 1 through 9. And they all add up to 45 or 9. 369. We've been talking about this for a long time, but never compared to the flat drop 101, never compared to the firmament and the quantum, the cubics. That equals that. Word. That equals that. Word.
So then I asked, how might 3, 6, and 9 be relevant in this model? And it says 3 as the central point from which all else radiates. 6 could represent intermediate points or radial lines dividing the Earth into sections similar to a hexagonal layout. 9 could symbolize the outer edge or boundary often associated with the ice wall, making the completion of the structure, which made me think of the black hole sun model that states that all of creation comes from the North Star and the black
hole sun, won't you come?
Hole sun, like meeting at the North Pole and then projecting.
And this is where you get your aurora borealis, northern lights, because it's being literally projected right from that center. Now they're putting the North Star with the Star of David, Merkaba flow. So the Star of David even plays when you talk flat drop 101. You got sacred geometry, Merkaba flow. You got a tau here, male, female, negative, positive, vortices, vertices. The Freemason flow try to tell us something. You even got the azimuthal equidistant AE flat Earth projection map on the UN flag, trying to tell us something. Same thing, right? UN flag. Con, huh? Con. Con. Vector flag, right? Flag of the UN. Check out the flags, boss. So, see the vertices, the same thing. They got it like a target, like they got everything in the crosshairs, right? The center would be 3, middle would be 6, the outer wall, which represents this reef around with an opening, because there are openings to get out. This is the flat earth map, man. Why is it on their flag? Why is it on the flag? Why is it on the flag? Right? 369. What a Lil John know? 369. And get high. Suck it to me one more. Get low, get low. Get low. Oh. Get low. Let's go.
Projecting all of reality outwards. So on this model, I think the North Pole would be 3, the ice wall would be 9 because that's completion, and then where we live is 6, where creation and completion meet halfway in the middle.
666. 6666666. 333333333. Repeating instead of pi. So did they purposely throw us off with the pi so that we don't connect to 369? And did did Nikola Tesla not say that understanding the 369 gives you the secrets of the universe if you can understand the 369, right? And it's a perfect circle, 369 or 360. And it's pi 33333.
3, 6, 9. So a lot of us know about the ley lines. Ley lines are basically just
My bad.
energy grid lines that people theorize connect us to free energy. Almost all important structures like the Statue of Liberty, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the pyramids, they all fall on like vertices of the ley lines. I think that the energy coming out of the black hole sun is meeting at the vertices on the 369 geodesic dome. I sound nuts, but whatever. And I think that this is somehow creating the ley lines. Remember, Tesla's whole thing was free energy and harnessing electric. I truly do believe that this is the great mystery around 369 and that it's really just the firmament, and that the pi they give us is not true pi. So then I started talking to ChatGPT about it again. It says, some flat earth theories propose that the firmament has properties that refract or distort light. If the firmament were a geodesic dome centered on the North Pole, the highest point of the dome could potentially create unique effects on the light and visibility. At the North Pole, light might behave differently as it interacts with this apex, possibly creating phenomena like the aurora borealis or other atmospheric effects in this region.
That's if it's a dome. It would be popping off like this if it's a dome. And for some reason, this Northern Light situation is popping off, right? Popping off. I mean, Northern Lights, man. Stop playing. Stop playing. Northern Lights, man. So, coming out this center is all this. But that would only happen if it's a dome, if it's a firmament, right? All this light show will be happening. Why? She's breaking it down. I think she's breaking it all the way up, man. At the North Pole, light might behave differently as it interacts with this apex, talking dome, the dome's apex, possibly creating phenomena like the aurora borealis, or other atmospheric effects in this region. Could this be explained by theories that suggest the dome has refractive or reflective properties that affect how we perceive light and celestial objects? See, man, only in the Prester series are we going to talk indigenous truth, we're going to talk frequency, we're going to talk flat drop 101, my noggin, and of course we're going to talk the code and keeping the code. And from day one, I told y'all, this is our philosophy, right? This is our order. This is our formula, man. And this is what keeps us going, is hitting these 4 points, right? If everything Drop Nation if all of our studies and investigation could lay on four pillars, the first one would be KTC, MHOE, keep the code, right? Studying the code, studying, our Torah, right? You know what I'm saying? Studying our law, meditating on it, right? That's number one. Then we got indigenous truth, right? Knowing that we are found right here, copper color race is found here, right? Then we got, of course, our frequency flow. We got to understand our flow, our 369s. We got to understand our 432, right? We got to understand the frequency and that we're in the frequency war, silent weapons, quiet war. Yeah, and the code puts us in a higher frequency. And of course, we need to understand that we are not spinning on no damn ball. Flat drop 101, man. That the firmament is a solid, true object, man. Creation, created by the creator, creation. You know what I'm saying? It's real creation. And that because of that, you have these unexplainable lights. But you wouldn't understand the secrets of the universe unless you understood the 3, the 6, and the 9. Woo! Then you find, sock it to me one more time. Get low.
This could be explained by theories that suggest the dome has refractive or reflective properties that affect how we perceive light and celestial objects. In this model, the geodesic dome might influence air currents and weather patterns, particularly if the dome is seen as a barrier containing Earth's atmosphere. With the North Pole as the dome's center, circular or spiraling weather patterns might radiate outward, contributing to the concept of the polar vortex or other weather phenomena that start from the poles and move outward. This also validates climate zones, and this scripture blew my mind when I realized this. So this is when he comes back for his bride. It says, "The voice of my beloved, behold, he comes leaping over the mountains, bounding over the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. There he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows, looking through the lattice." Do you guys know what it's called when you weave pie crust together on top like this? A lattice. Pie. It's measuring the firmament. This is a lattice. This is a lattice. They're both pie, except one's a pastry. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's coincidental. I don't think it is. I think God is, hilarious.
Okay, Sally, okay. God is hilarious. All right, okay. I think HaWah is the master, man. You know what I'm saying? And they can push a ball and spinning on balls all they want to. Still can't explain the northern lights, right? Still can't discover most of your ocean water. You know, what's inside the ocean. Can't go deeper than 12 miles here. Can't go higher than 12 miles here. Can't get past the radiation belt. Can't go back to the moon. All these can'ts because you're waking up, popping off, and now they can't fake it no more. This lattice only connects to this hexagonal, geographic patterns that are clearly being shown in this pi flow with this 369, man.
The first person to accurately estimate pi was literally named Archimedes. They're telling us. I don't believe most of these people in history were real. And if they were, there was fake stuff about them. And think of the word piety. It means religious or holy. Pi. They're saying that the person operates in a way of being beyond the firmament. They're godly. They're complete. Fibonacci spiral. SPI. Spiral. Pi is in there. Piano starts with pi. The piano has 88 keys. There were 88 books in the original Bible. There's 88 constellations.
And 8 plus 8 is 16. And 1 plus 6 is 7.
Divided into 7 octaves. 7 is God's number, and cycles of 12 keys. In the book of Enoch, there's 12 stargates that the sun and moon come and go from. Pine cone. The occult worships the pine cone. The pine cone has 369 in it. Pilots. They are flying across the skies.
Pirates, they are flying across the waters. That water
next to the firmament. Epiphany, there's PI in there. That's the revelation of Christ. Pineal gland, which is shaped like a pine cone.
Well, remember, Christ means anointed, so our revelations have to do with the anointed, right? Our anointed ain't their anointed. Dodgy's hijinks.
It has 369 built into it. Pioneer. Pioneer. Creating something. You're pioneering it. Let me know what you guys think, or if you have anything to add to this. I would love to hear it.
Hey, if we got something to add, we gonna add it. We gonna talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, love to smoke proof. He said this is how etymology, semantic languages takes over your psyche. You start to see words and letter relations in words to see that the meaning is always there. The word of HaWah is true forever. Pie in the sky. Shout out to Kyle Ager, man. Everybody digging it? Joe Khaleesi, man, said here a little, there a little. Hey, AD up said some heat on this one. It's just heating up, boss. It's just heating up. All right. I mean, that was just a little tour of a few things that we rocked on last time, covered last time. And we're going to jump back in it, man. We on historytoday.com. Close examination of the car Cathay, such as Rupert was in a position to make, showed that neither were they any longer a power worthy of notice, nor had they ever been Christians. Right, that's a very important point. So when I try to link him to Nestorians, remember, old king renowned for wise counsel, but just know that they never, nor had they ever been Christians. We talking the Hebrew cons, man, when we talk the Kara, Black, Cathay, Get 147. We don't play. We continuing, man. Matter of fact, man, I said it's a silent weapon. And I said these are quiet wars. Did I also say we on a warpath, boss? Yeah. Like we always do about this time. Keeping the water flowing, keeping the fire burning. Let go. Let go. Okay. We good? Okay. We on a warpath, boss. You see, man, look. I recorded this, what I'm dropping now, I recorded last night. But my 14th screen recorder deleted it. I wonder how this keeps happening with every screen recorder. So I said, no more screen recorder. Got my camera pointed at my laptop. Because it's a warpath, man. I'm not going to give him the power over me and my info no more to keep deleting all this drop. I could do a whole new channel just based on deleted drop, man. No more, man. I'm taking it back to the old school. To the old rules, man. Right off the balcony. Let's keep going. And then we're going to get into Lost Tribes and Promised Land. We're going to go back home, man, to safety, man. We going home to safety. The conversion, well, let's pick it here. So the Cariots, the Cariots, while their political importance had greatly declined after the defeat of Togrul, were still the most important Christian tribe in Central Asia, but they were not Christian. Crazy, right? All right, Togrul is the Prester, by the way. The conversion of the Cariots, or Kara, right? And remember, this Kara is just like the South Carolina Kara, right? Just like we got, let's see, Prester John Wikipedia, man. Prester, let's just go Wikipedia. Prester John. Yeah. Oh. Woo. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta see all the variety of the Presters, right? You got the Portuguese monument flow right here, saying they're searching for Prester John, 1145 to 1645. Wow. Of course, Genghis Khan's gonna pop up because he's at war with Genghis Khan. Did you know? Yeah, of course we gonna pop up, right? I didn't know we was on Rumble, but we on Rumble. Hey, I need to pop a Rumble page off though, for sure. But I know the information is spreading, man. I can't stop it. We can't stop it. It is what it is. It's HaWah's. Jabroni's gonna try to repeat it, but we got that water. We got that Prester, right? we got that water. We got that Prester El Juan, El Prester John. Lots of books that we still haven't really dug on, man. We still cracking the surface. There's a whole Prester John in the Marvel comics. He's fighting the Avengers, letting you know these Avengers are nothing but their hijacks that were fighting against the true one, man. For real, for real. All right. Then we got the Wikipedia. Then we got Wiki. Yeah. It's interesting that they gonna mention El Dad, Haddani, because we about to talk El Dad when we talk Lost Tribes and Promised Land by Ronald Sanders, man. Because, you know, he got his own account of the Prester. The historian, right? Old king, renowned for wise counsel. But they got all this drop on Prester. We got this before, right? You got the Byzantine. They're communicating with the Prester. They got the Prester John letter, 1165. You know what I mean? Letter of Prester John. You got the Mongol flow, right? This picks up the Genghis Khan flow. It's going to call him King David of India. You're going to have to differentiate that this India is India superior, right? Decipher that. Then say, whoa, that means he's in America. Whoa, that's what we just said the Garden of Eden is. Whoa, that's where the founding youth is. Whoa, that's where they just found the copper color races. Whoa, who's the Khan? Whoa, right? Okay. And then they're going to go Ethiopia. They got a whole nother flow on Prester John with this Ethiopian flow, Lebna Dango Dawit flow, right? Crazy. Then they're going to start talking Francisco Alvarez, because we talking Francisco Alvarez, right? Lebna Dango. Just get the drop. Just go to Wiki if you need to catch up. Then Americas, for some reason, they only have 2 sentences. And I said, wait a minute. Wait, they got all this drop, but only 2 sentences on the Americas? This must be important, right? So then Peter Marty, right? Marty de Anguirre, we got this before. Identified the land of Prester John with Kakor. So we said, what's Kakor? Has to do with the New World, America, Francisco de Kakor. Francisco is his baptismal name, so his name ain't Francisco, and he's of Kakor, and Kakor is South Carolina. We got that. And he was captured by Spaniards, similar to Estebanico, captured by the Portuguese, right? And then kind of leads them back this way. The land was ruled by priests, and priest means Prester. Prester means priest. And Prester is connected with Kakor, and they only give us 2 sentences. When you click on Kakor, yep, you know, it's gonna start connected with this Elian. It's an abundant land of natural resources. So Prester's connected with Kakora, an abundant land of natural resources. And the Kakora is the Carolina, because South Carolina was originally named Kakora. And the Cora is the car. My bad, I got you. I told y'all, man. I took it back to the old school. So it's gonna slip a couple times, but we're gonna get it right. I'm gonna catch the slips. Okay, here we go. Oh, my bad. Still working it out. Still working this out. So it's a little uneven sometimes, forgive me, man. All right, just forgive a comment. Okay, there we go. Let's get it like this. My bad, y'all. Okay. So the core is the car. And we're getting it out the real mud. We're getting out the American mud, man. Getting this abundant drop to you. Because we're talking about an abundant land of wealth, right? Land of abundant wealth. And this is what the core is connected with. Francisco de Cacor, baptismal name to the Native American kidnapped 1521. And that's crazy because Esteban was kidnapped at the same damn time. That's crazy, right? 70 others were taken with them. They said it's a land filled with priests, so you know these are cons, and the Korah, again, is the car. Let's go back. Wow. Good. Gucci. Just want to make sure y'all can see everything here. So this core is the same as this Kara or this Karians. And this conversion of this car is that they're saying they converted to Christianity, but they just said they couldn't prove it. But of course, you know, you got some different cliques clicking up different ways. Took place 1009 in miraculous circumstances, which were widely reported at the time. The king of the Karians, so the story went, lost his way, went out hunting, a blizzard overtook him, and he was convinced this hour had come when a saint came to him in a vision and said, if you believe in JC, I will lead you in the right direction. So this is their story of how they converted. Do y'all believe it, man? The king got home safely. He remembered the vision, embraced the Christian faith along with his tribe, some 200,000 souls. Okay. The Carians were clearly well suited for the role of the people of Prester John. So they're just connecting the dots that these Carians are connecting with Prester John. Let's get that out the way. Okay. It is probable that the story of their conversion played its part in the development of the legend. Rubric's narrative paves the way for the transfer of the title of Prester John from the Cathay to the Carians. By the time Marco Polo set out on his travels, the identification of Prester John with the ruler of the Carians had become genuinely accepted. Polo's account of the Prester, while similar to that of Rubric, makes no further mention of the Cathay. Yeah, now they switched it up. Like Rubric, Marco Polo is not greatly impressed with Prester's sanctity. He attributes the defeat of Prester John by Genghis in great part to the priest king's pride and lack of tact in dealing with the Mongols. So, of course, with Marco Polo, he's riding inside the house of Genghis Khan, right? Genghis Khan is one of his #1 guys, so he has to tell this story like Genghis Khan is this victorious, perfect person, and Prester John is some annoying, rude guy who just has all this pride, and you know, he has to try to put Prester King David down because he has to please Genghis Khan. So just keep that in mind. I got y'all. Ain't slipping. Don't be slipping. Okay. Let's try this. All right, so he has to keep. I got y'all, man. We figure out new systems to get this drop to y'all. Sometimes we gotta take it back to the old school, man. So, all right. So Prester gotta look like the bad guy. That's all we're saying. All right. So he's saying priest king got all this pride. Prester got the pride. Priest king, Prester John. So when Genghis sends ambassadors to John to seek the Prester's daughter as a wife for the Mongol ruler, he receives an insulting reply. War follows in which Prester John is defeated and killed. Or they said one of the Presters or the Davids. And we believe, or I believe that it wasn't Prester, it was his son David. You know what I mean? Prester John has his son, David Salsman. And just looking at these dates and this flow, it appears that this was the David that may have failed in that battle. This is the Prester that may have failed, in that battle. But of course, the investigation continues. So you're saying it started because the Prester didn't want to give his daughter to Genghis. Genghis wanted his daughter as a wife. Prester gives an insulting reply, right? War follows. Prester John's defeated and killed. On the eve of the battle, Christian astrologers prophesy that Genghis will win, and so he is so pleased with his correct prediction that from that day, he always treats Christians with great respect. And so because they got something right about something, he's now a Christian. So which Mongols converted? The Cathay or the Genghis Khan tribe, right? And also Genghis Khan's tribe is connected with this Islamic flow. So I think they kind of had both, you know what I mean? By tribe, you know, Genghis could easily fall under a Moabite flow, could fall under, you know what I'm saying, a Canaanite flow like we don't know, or he can be just as Israelite, Judah, you know, he could be the son of Nebuchadnezzar. We looked into that, right? The son of Queen, or is it, whoa, the son of, man, who was the first lady before Eve? Going blank, you know what I'm talking about, Lilith, right? The son of Lilith, or Queen Sheba and King Solomon. We done dug on that in some sacred texts, that he's Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar, Nebo, defend my boundaries is what it means. Is Genghis Khan, according to some, you know what I'm saying? So that would make this Babylonian flow even clearer in terms of the timeline, that all this is happening in these dark ages, 1200s, 13th century. So the general trend of the Prester John legend of the 13th century was towards a discrediting of the priest king. Because after Genghis took over, it was about discrediting the priest king. And what do you think Christianity is about? They may not think it because you're talking all this good talk, but you have replaced David. You are discrediting him now. Now it's, oh, the man, he's responsible for the murder of a man because he saw Bathsheba. Look, we don't know if all this stuff is being translated just to discredit King David. Or let's say he's not a perfect person. They need a perfect man, right? Daniel's supposed to be perfect. Benjamin's supposed to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Moses' dad is supposed to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Even David's pops, Yeshai is supposed to be perfect. But David's not perfect because he killed the man, they say, right? So now they can replace him now because he's not perfect. But the real ones connect to David even more because of that, because he's not perfect. You know, we don't have to try to be no perfect man, perfect person to be loved by the Creator, to be, you know, forgiven and be given grace by the Creator. It's a world full of, you know, people that are not perfect, right? Knockers in the hood all the time, man, caught up in this, you know, street life, you know what I'm saying? Feel like HaWah can't forgive him. But they could look at David, even if they say he killed a man, and say, damn, but the covenant was still with David and he killed a man? That's true forgiveness, man. It's stuff that you don't understand when you're the firstborn, you know what I mean? and the love is real. And, you know, so it really backfires on them by trying to discredit Priest King, Prester John. You know, you really make Nagas really gravitate to him even more, you know what I'm saying? But their job, which became religion's job, even in Islam, they got the Dajjal, this Dajjal, which is really David. Christianity got this Antichrist, which is really David coming back, anti their Christ, anti their anointed, because we talking our anointed, not them, man. Our towel, not their cross, right? So they discredited Priest King in the 13th century in favor of the Mongols, which is Genghis Khan's flow, his conquerors, on whose shoulders, it seems, had fallen the mantle of the saviors of Christians. There was some basis to this concept. Several important Mongol officials were Christians, and several of the clans which had united under the banner of Genghis Khan were of this faith. When, in the years of 1239, it seemed as if the Mongols, who had conquered Rusland, Russia, I want you to see this clearly, the Rusland, right, is still Israel. The Cathay is Israel. The Cathay is the Capness. It's still Israel. It's still you. The Saracen is still Israel. The Arab proper is still Israel. And when they talk Russia, don't tune out, because we still talking Israel, right? Rusland. Jesse Ben, lost tribe of Ann Rose, right? So, love to Jesse Ben, Ann Rose. Even spells the R-U-S this way, right? But we're still talking Andros, Clancy all Andrea, of the ancient and noble house of Andrews, Andreas, Ptolemy, Egypt, Greek, Iberian, Hebrews, right? Whose family named the Andros Island, Greece, Aegeos, Andreas, Greek towns, British Isle of Man, Andrews Island, California, Queen Khalifa, Andros Islands, Bahamas, and a relative, or is a relative, of Magos, Alex Andros, or Alexander the Great. We gotta get the real story behind the great Alexander, who is a relative of Alexandros, Ptolemy the 10th, or the Tau, of the Hyksos, right? The shepherd king, pharaohs of Egypt's 15th dynasty, Greece, kings of Greece, Spain, medieval Europe. She is Ionian, relatives of Dorian, Lydian, Phrygian, Alien, you know what I'm saying? So all these are connected, even down to this Virginia, Louisiana, and all this stuff, right? We're talking the house of Rus. We're talking the house of Andreas from the race of St. Andrew and the kindred of the kings of Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem, which we just got as America. Put it all together. So we talking Jerusalem, we talk Andrews, Andreas. We're talking the land of Rus, Rus of Russia. Okay. And Ros, are you, my naga, when we talk Rus? We're talking the truth. These Saracens, according to Pope Nicholas, these Saracens, right? Doom diverses. Look at the dates, right? These Saracens have been reduced because they're unbelieving in their Christ. They're anointed anti their Christ. And all non-their Christ lands have been stolen. And they've claimed them for their anointed. Whether you're in Africa or America, the old world. These Saracens have been subdued, right? These Saracens are now subdued. And if you're enemies of their Christ, their anointed, because Christ means anointed, you can take their kingdoms, dukedoms, principalities, possessions, and all immovable and immovable goods whatsoever held in place by them, and reduce them to perpetual slavery, and apply it to yourself and your successors. Their kingdoms, dukedoms, principality, all their goods, convert them, right, to what? Christianity, and use it to their use and profit. Because it's all about their successors. And we said successors sure sounds like descendants. Now apply to their descendants. The Khan. So the Rus is the truth. And when this gang has conquered the Rus, right? Persia, parts of Asia Minor, which is Russia, right? And the Levant. And had penetrated for a brief moment into Poland and Hungary, were destined to play a role, or to play a dominant part in European politics. The ideal of a Christian Mongol empire became most attractive. Christian Mongol empire. That's what Genghis and them. The value of a Mongol alliance was evident. A Byzantine emperor did not shrink from giving his daughter in marriage to a Khan of the Mongol Golden Horde in Russia, Rusland. That's you, my nigga. I'm talking Hebrews. I'm talking you, because I'm talking Jerusalem. They've taken everything. They've taken everything from Israel. Rus. So a Byzantine emperor did not shrink from giving his daughter in marriage to a Khan, right, priest, Kakora, right, land of the priests, of the Mongol Golden Horde. Horde means order, like author. In Russia, Frankish princes in the Levant gladly allied themselves with Halegu. But remember, these Franks and these Rus were tribed up at first. Matter of fact, it shows that the Rus were part and parcel with the Franks in forming the Knights Templar, or the Templars, right, which were originally protecting the secrets of the Solomon, kingdom, the dynasties, man. They are the Red Ones, Kievan Rus, land of Rus, princess of Rus, Ross, clan Ross, right, lived in Kiev, Rus, until the Mongol hordes invaded. So even on this lost tribe of Anrus, Jesse Bentley, we have substantiated the same story. That these red ones, or copper color races found here, because red is copper, were invaded. The land of Rus was invaded by Genghis in there. And they had to pay tribute because Genghis used to have to pay tribute to Prester. And intermarried to keep their peace, or what? Intermarry. Because they had to intermarry with genuine Arabs. Do you see clearly? Do you see clearly? We got you. They had to intermarry with genuine Arabs to be legitimate, right? And the genuine Arabs are the Rus. And they had to intermarry to keep peace because they were invaded by the Mongols or Genghis in them. Talking to Rus. I'm talking to Rus, and the Rus is the truth. So they had to intermarry, right? Because these Genghis and them wanted to intermarry to make them genuine and adopt the Arab customs proper, right? Because they were of non-Arab stock and they were just pretending to be Arabs until they intermarried with genuine Arabis. So they did, and we had to keep the peace, right? And intermarry with their hijacks so that they could stop pretending. See, nobody ever told you this story this way before. It's coming out of me to you. It's coming out of us to our tribe, man. The truth is coming out of us. That these other tribes, which were confederate against us, had to marry into us take our wives, take our daughters, right? Marry into us to be proper again. Because they wanted to be chosen, but they couldn't connect to David directly, the anointed one. I'm just taking it in with y'all. The Ishmaelites. Psalms 83. Keep not your silence, HaWah. Your enemies are in an uproar, HaWah. They that hate you have lifted their heads, HaWah. Hold crafty converse against your people, HaWah. Take counsel against your treasured ones, HaWah. They said, come and let us cut us off from being a nation, HaWah, so that the name of Israel will be no more in remembrance, HaWah. They had to intermarry to be genuine. Because without that, they're just pretending, these Ishmaelites. And who's in the uproar? The enemies of HaWah. They have consulted together with one consent against you. Do they make a covenant? We have a covenant with our Khan. The covenant is with Khan Dawi. The firstborn got the covenant, right? But they make their own covenant against you, HaWah. Who, HaWah? The tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites. The same Ishmaelites who are pretending to be a rabbi. Adopting our customs and intermarrying by force with genuine a rabbi. Because it is added that an Ishmael married a woman of the tribe of Gerhum and became a member thereof, so they became a member of your tribe through marriage. Ishmael. I said Ishmael. Remember, the Ishmaelites are migrating. Should we go back to the Kumse flow? Ishmaelites they're migrating, boss. Remember that? And these are the ones, Moab and them, Lot and them, right? Lot ain't happy with their lot. They want more. They want a lot. They want the land. They want the treasure. They want to be proper Ishmael, right? Ishmael is of non-Arab stock. So even if they are connected to Abraham directly, right? They're still of non-Arabi stock because the law ain't in them. And this is why they are confederate in making covenants and consulting together to cut us off from being a nation, to cut us all off so that our name is no more remembered. These are the enemies. And these enemies are intermarrying to be genuine. And therefore these Rus had to intermarry to keep the peace. The invaders stopped in Russia in 1242 to the surprise of Western religion and Islam, both of whom were under pressure from the Mongols. This is the time when Persia was lost. And so Genghis was over here putting pressure on Persia. And we know we got some Israel-like connection with Darius and them too. And the people took on different features. Here is when in the front of the battle was the family of the Queen Saint Margaret defending the kingdom. Most of church chivalric and fraternal orders flourished around this time to include the Freemasons of Europe and America. Whoa. Large fortresses or castles were needed to house soldiers, people, and supplies, which gave the knights a chance to regroup and defend the fortresses until the next mission. Then it goes on with the Andrews of Phoenicia/Russia. Phoenicia/Russia, like it's all the same thing. The original Phoenicians are the original Rus, and the Rus is the truth, and the Rus is you. We're learning a lot. I normally don't read down this far. I'm just popping off on other things, but there's a lot more to it, right? We connected Jerusalem, Rus, Israel, and of course the priest King Prester John when it comes to this Mongol flow and the Frank flow, which they formed the Templar together at first. Frankish princes and the Levant gladly allied themselves to the Halugu, this Mongol satrap governor, grandson of Genghis Khan, destroyer of the Abyssinian, sounds like Abyssinia, Caliphate, sounds like Khalifa, and the founder of the Khan dynasty of Persia, sounds like more Israelites, played a part in the Levant in the second half of the 13th century, not unlike that which it had been hoped at one time Prester John would play. So they hoped Prester John would play a role, right? Play a part in this Levant, not unlike that which it had been hoped at one time Prester John would play. For a while it seemed as if Halugu would crush the power of Egypt, whose leaders Balabar, or Baibars, almost sound like the Berbers, Barber, was then the mainstay of Islamic power in the Levant. It even seemed possible that Halugu would become a Christian. His wife was already of that faith. In these circumstances, Prester John dwindled in importance. Marco Polo found a person whom he considered to be descendant from Prester John, George, who still ruled in the province of Tanduk. And Tanduk is Tangu. We got this many times. And Tangu is right here on the map in India Superior. Tangut. Florida boss. Garden Eden. See how big Florida is? Where's Georgia, right? It's all connected. So India, Cathay, China, everything right here, everything. Yeah, we connected this yellow river with the white river that we got on the other map of Israel, of the Ishmaelite migration, right? So, and George, well, if he's a descendant of Prester John, that might describe why Georgia is a title here already. Who's still ruling in America, which is Tanduk. And the great loop of the Yellow River, which is also the White River, where Polo had located the priest realm. George's family married into that of the great Khan. Now, are we saying he married into Genghis' family later, right? Or Prester's family, but he was already a descendant of Prester. He didn't have to marry in to the family of the great Khan if the great Khan is Prester John. But if they renamed the great Khan as Genghis Khan, if he stole the Khan, then forced him to marry, and through intermarrying did what? He intermarried with genuine Arabs. Through intermarrying what? They intermarried to keep the peace because they were at war with the Genghis Khan Mongols, right? So George's family had to intermarry with Genghis Khan, the Mongols in there. He still held land, but only as a Mongol feudatory. So he pretty much got his land taken by Genghis. And he did not hold anything like the whole of what Prester John once possessed. Sounds like we on a warpath, boss. Oh, wow. How we looking? Okay, hey, we got it. We got it. I'm gonna read a little more, then I'm gonna get some lost tribes for the dismount. This ain't gonna be a 4-hour drop, I promise. Plus, I'm recording on my phone, so I just wanna make sure everything is Gucci fi Gucci, man. Everything's all to the Tawa. So I don't have to lose anything else, man. This is no longer about losing. We are now in the energy of gaining, man, regaining, restoration, renewal. This the year of the dragon. When we see clear. I just saw this though. It was clear. That's when HaWah let you know. HaWah right here with you. I said we see clearly, and then it says it was clear that the Asiatic Prester John had his day. The Asiatic, we're talking Asia Major, man. Where's Asia? By the beginnings of the 14th century, the idea of help for Christendom from the Orient had suffered rude disillusionment. The followers of Halal, of whom so much had once been hope, embraced Islam. Bang, right? Moab in it, right? Confederacy, Psalms 83, right? As did the Mongols in Russia, Genghis and them, right? The center of crusading interest, moreover, had been shifted from the Levant to Egypt and North Africa. So all these Mongols became Islam when? 14th century. They found us when? 1400s. Papal Bull what? 1452, boss. You see how it all connects? 13th century, 14th century, 1452. Columbus sailed the ocean blue, 1492, 1500s, right? All these Indian wars start popping off, right? 1600s, 1700s, Sheik-Mongol wars continued, 1800s, 1900s. Now we here, we born in the 1900s, right? Now we in 2000. All right, you see how it all connects? This ain't been that long, man. So they just converted to Islam and started whipping on us that way. Or converted to Christianity, started whipping on us that way. Silent weapons, quiet wars, spreading their cross, right? Not talking about the Crusades, but they have to be working together. The Christians and the Muslims gotta be working together. The Islam and Christianity gotta be working together to find the Hebrew priest king, because both of them are at war with the Hebrew priest king. The Christians and the Islamics don't mess with King David like that. Just pay attention. The center of crusading interest, moreover, had been shifting from the Levant to Egypt and North Africa, right? Morocco, Estebanico, It became fixed when Acre, the last Frankish stronghold in the Levant mainland, fell to the Saracens 1291. Which Saracens? The next phase of the crusade was to be the preparation for Portuguese expansion on to the coast of North Africa. But well before this, in 1145, and we got the receipts, these same Portuguese were already looking for Prester John, right? Am I tripping? Because this is a Portuguese monument on the coast of South Africa, in the memory of these seafarers who searched for Prester John from 1145 to 1645. So well before this 1200 situation, they were already looking for Prester John everywhere. Genghis was already looking for him. So you telling me, they were already looking in 1145, but the war with Genghis Khan and Prester John took place in 1202. So for over 55 years, The Portuguese were already searching for Prester John. Then Genghis Khan finds him and goes to war. So this whole Genghis Khan Prester John war happened during the duration of them searching for Prester John. And why did they stop searching in 1645? Why did they only start searching for the Fountain of Youth in Florida within the last 500 years? What did they find in the last 500 years to make them start searching for the Fountain of Youth in Florida, boss? And why did they stop searching officially, unofficially, in 1645 over there? That means they started searching over here, or they already knew where it was in America when they found you copper color races right here. That means when they found and knew that you were here, they put off their search over there and they started searching over here for the Fountain of Youth and putting you in captivity, and hence the Chickamauga Indian Cherokee Wars, my noggin, for the hundreds and hundreds of years, right? Hundreds and hundreds of years. Let's go. Halal HaWah. It was inevitable that the search for Prester John should be shifted to Africa by the early 14th century, and his kingdom was located in Abyssinia. But we know that's just a name that predates Ethiopia, and it means a mixed multitude wherever they are. Doesn't mean Africa, but let's go. When we talk Prester John, we're talking Emperado de los Abyssinios, old name for Ethiopia. Ethiop, burnt face, right? Negro, burn, to burn, fiery looking. You got that fire in your eyes, huh? Yeah. The native name is Abyssinia. The native name is Abyssinios. That doesn't mean Africa, boss. Remember, Ethiopia is a vague term, right? We just got the native name, the old name. Abasa, mixed, right? Didn't Moshe bring a mixed multitude, Joshua and them, to the promised land, right? A mixed multitude. Where's the promised land? Where's the Garden of Eden, right? So-called Christian community had been in existence since the 4th century. Stop it. Contact between Abyssinia and Europe had been severed by the Islamic conquest of the 7th century, but at the very moment when the Asiatic Prester John was being discredited by travelers like Friar or Doric, Abyssinian embassies began to reach the courts of Europe, and Dominican missionaries were able to penetrate into Central Africa. By the end of the 14th century, few writers in Europe would have denied that Prester John was the ruler of Abyssinia. So he's not fake. He's real. He's the ruler of Abyssinia. Abyssinia. Copper color race is found here. Here it was argued he had retired when the Mongols had defeated him in Central Asia, and here he was still able to render valuable assistance to Christendom. Stop it. They just fantasize that this Hebrew Khan David is going to help them. This gave them something to write about. This gave them something to encourage their scared, travelers to go keep searching. Someone's going to help us. Someone's going to help us. This raised the morale of Christendom to find King David, Prester John. They didn't tell him the truth, that he wasn't a Christian, that he's the Hebrew Khan forever. He's not here to be of assistance to Christendom. He's here to be of assistance to the tribe of Israel, the righteous flock. But their story was that he was going to help them, give them assistance against the power of Islam in the Mediterranean. In reality, I think they were all working together to find you, my nigga. In his kingdom lay the source of the river Nile, upon which the life of the most formidable Muslim power, Egypt, depended. And if we now understand that this is India superior, that means that somehow here is the connection for the source of the Nile. Not the Nile over there, but the real Nahal. Because in Hebrew, Nile is Nahal. Nahal means great river. The great river is the Mississippi. And yes, the Mississippi River feeds all, like the Amazon, right? It feeds all of them, right? They depend on it. And he had, I mean, look how Ishmael was migrating over here, right? Setting up their power. Ishmaelites migrate. Wow. What's that map called? Let's see if I have it here. Let's put an Ishmaelite migration map. Let's see if it just pops up by now. Oh, we done talked about it so much. We in the algorithm now. Halal HaWah. Hey, love to chapatmystery.com. Okay. Curia Americana. Ben Ishmael tribe. Okay. Ishmael's migrating, man. Right. So again, the Yellow River is this white river. You see how it connects? That they're talking about in the Mongol flow. And Ishmael's migrating in 1785, of course, before that. But look how they already are setting up the Muhammad flow, Morocco flow. So when they talk about the Muslim powers and this Nile River, they're all these Muslim powers are depending on it. Morocco is telling you Morocco's here, right? Aren't these Moors saying Morocco's here? So the Muslim powers are dependent on this Mississippi River, this white, yellow river, right? The Moor science temple at Pembroke know that the formula for the holy mountain is supposedly contained in the odd dimensions of the so-called cube built by Abraham and Ishmael. They're doing a migration around this holy mountain of harmonics. And what does it mean for the little ice age? What does it mean, like, for the spell, right? This spell of stupor that hit us, right? What does it mean for our frequency? What does your harmonics, we know the power of sound, right? What does a big sound temple do to the earth? And why was an ice age following this, right? And what's it got to do with the Ishmaelites? Trying to be genuine, right? Genuine Arabs. The same people that are the enemies. The same people that are against the treasure ones. The enemies are migrating, boss. Putting up Morocco, Muhammad, and all these Muslim powers, right? And this river Nahal, or Mississippi, upon which the life of the most formidable Muslim power, Egypt, depended. We know where Egypt is, Grand Canyon flow. We know that these Muslim powers are Morocco, Muhammad, right? So we see that it's all happening here in America, more substantiating evidence to back up our investigation. But he had to divert the course of this river to starve the Egyptians into submission. So it's a lot of history happening here, man, against these powers that want to conquer America and the Promised Land. That Prester John had not already done so, some writers argue, was solely because the priest king did not wish to have on his conscience the lives of many Christians who lived in the Nile Delta. So he could have cut the flow off and starved whoever, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't want it on his conscience, they're saying. Other observers, less charitably, wrote that Prester John was dissuaded by a large Egyptian subsidy. In this new role, the priest king was stripped of much of the fabulous and romantic quality bestowed him in the earlier versions of the legend. Even now, however, he had a part to play in the history of exploration, for it was partly in search of his kingdom in the hope that he would prove an ally in a renewed crusade that the Portuguese Prince Henry, the Navigator, encouraged a series of journeys along the coast of West Africa, which were to culminate in the epic voyage of Vasco da Gama and the discovery of the direct sea route to America, the Indies, India supreme, India superior. This was a map shown to King Henry, right? Yeah, this is a map of America and the way to China as men believed it to be, which an old pilot navigator showed to King Henry VII in the year 1500, right? Again, you got the Cathay, like the Cathay, which means pure land. The great Khan, priest of China. The China is the Khan. India, China, Japan, all right here next to Greenland and Florida, where there's much gold. G-O-O-D gold, because it's all to the Tawa. Yeah, Henry, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm just, we just talking about Prester John. Johannes. Yeah, man. So they try to make the Prester bow down. Is this what it is, man? Oh, we almost there. Let's get the last of this and head over to Lost Tribes for the dismount. Long after Prince Henry's death, this search continued until in 1493. Remember, they found this in 1492, right? The Portuguese traveler Calvão, who had been sent out by his king for this purpose, reached Abyssinia and ended, as far as Portugal was concerned, the quest for Prester John. Because Portugal kept searching up until 1645, according to their monument. But they're saying that this quest was ended here, searching for Prester John, 1493. Right, and then they found America, Columbus, 1492. Come on, boss, it's just too convenient. And then they took down the Byzantine Empire, 1493. Now we gotta talk Mossack, the founder, right? Moses, right? The original Byzantine, right? The original Khazaria, right? Which is all still Hebrew. But the priest king, it now transpired, was neither very wealthy nor powerful, so they found the wrong person in Portugal. Far from being a source of strength against Islam, he stood in great need of Portuguese support to save his kingdom from Islamic conquest. So they found the wrong person in Portugal. Throughout the 14th and 15th centuries, a few writers and cartographers remained loyal to the Asiatic legend. The discovery that the Abyssinian Prester was but a faint shadow of the great potentate of the earliest versions of the legend may well have suggested this African king was not after all the fabulous Prester John. So they found the wrong person who was not the real Prester. Wow. It is certain that the Jesuit mission, which established itself at the court of the Mughal Emperor Akbar, at the end of the 16th century, thought that the priest king still ruled in Cathay. 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 Can't make this up, right? C-A-T-H-A-Y. C-A-T-H-A-Y. Florida. North America, right? And when they start calling this North America, because in all these old maps, this is not called North America, right? Right. But we see Cathay, right? Ka, okay, which is Cathay, Ka, okay, which is Cathnis, which is Cathnis. So these Andrews, they say, were first found in Cathnis. Or are we just talking Cathay? Or Cathay? So, Akbar at the end of the 16th century, remember they stopped looking over there in 1645. Akbar thought that Prester John still ruled in Cathay. That mysterious land described by Marco Polo, it was only after 1603 when a member of that mission, one Benedict Goes, had been dispatched to investigate this possibility, and in so doing found that Cathay was one and the same as China bones. Cathay is China, where the Great Khan is. Yeah. Cathay, Cathayo, La China, Florida. Multiple substantiating cartography, man. For the Dismal, a land about which much had been learned during the course of the 16th century, that it was concluded that there remained no place on earth where the great Christian king might still reign. Yeah. That's why he stopped looking over there, boss, and started looking over here. The Portuguese continued to call the Negus, who? The niggas of Abyssinia. Abyssinian by the name of Prester. And the rest of the world had followed suit. The name, however, became no more than a convenient title for a minor king, because that's what they made it. The legend of Prester John, like many other legends of the Middle Ages, fell before the relentless advance of modern geographical knowledge, and yet in the development of that knowledge, it had played a most significant part. In its youth, this legend encouraged the exploration of the land route between Europe and Central Asia and the Far East. We know that we are in the furthest India. We are in the farthest East because they flipped the map. This is the Far East, Manaka. This is the Orient. In its middle age, it assisted the discovery of the direct sea route to India Superior, the Indies. Even at the moment of its death, it was still strong enough to lead to the identification of Cathay with China, the Chinese Empire. And this article originally appeared in 1957, Manaka. This is old school, under the title Prester John. So we know Cathay is here. We know that this is China. We know we're in the Far East. Lost Tribes and Promised Land tell us the same thing, right? That we in the Far East. Let's get this for the Dismal. Lost Tribes, baby. We love it. We've been meaning for a long time to come back home. Wow. Ronald Sanders got the drop. Ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. How y'all reeling, man? How y'all reeling? We surfing the wave. This water continues, man. It don't stop. You know, it's a beautiful flow. It flows like the river, like the ocean, man, like the like the ocean breeze. You know what I'm saying? They try to stop it. They try to hijack our flow. We find ways around it. We find ways to, keep our flow going, keep our communication going, man. Make sure that You know, nothing stops our flow. Nothing, man. So let's get this dismount. Let go. Oh, we got him. We got him where we want him, man. Lost tribes and promised lands, baby. For the dispatch. We're gonna belly fly where we like to belly fly. Prester John or the noble Ethiopian, man. This is where it all started, right? Number one. Prester John or the noble Ethiopian. So remember, let's get it bigger. Wow. Make sure you can read it. Y'all good? A little too small still. Let's get it big. Let's get it big. 200. Okay, hopefully that's big enough. I might get it a little bigger because I want y'all to see clearly. So they're talking about Henry the Navigator, right? Prince Henry the Navigator, right? So Henry the Navigator's zeal to find him may seem surprising in the light of the dismal history of race relations that was to ensue, as a result. For by this time, most educated Europeans consider Prester John to be black. Now, they don't mention the Khan, Prester John, in Black History Month, right? But all educated Europeans, most educated, anybody with education knew that this is a Naga. This is why they're looking at Africa to begin with, right? So this does not mean that they had yet specifically identified him with the Emperor of Ethiopia as we understand that designation today. Geography of the Middle Ages was too vague. Again, Ethiopia is a vague term. And the legend more splendid than that monarch or any monarch has ever been. In fact, Prester John had not originally been placed in Africa at all. The legend made its first known appearance in Europe in the 12th century when Bishop Hugh Jabala arrived in Rome to appeal for a second crusade on behalf of the beleaguered Christian princes then established in the Near East as a result of the first. Hugh told a hardened story about a far eastern king, right? The Far East, remember your orientation, simply named John, a Nestorian, right? Who had invaded Persia not long before the conquered Ecbatana. Now we just got that Genghis Khan invaded Persia. So we got to dodge whenever they talk Prester John. Sometimes they're talking Genghis Khan, and we got to know what timeline they're on. If it's after 1202, we know we're talking about a hijacked version of the Prester. Before 1202, we know we're talking about the real Prester. So we got to use our discernment. John had then taken his army towards Jerusalem, intending to help its Crusader king to defend it against the Muslim attack. So, is the Prester they're looking for to help them King David, or is it Genghis Khan that was promising he was going to help them? You know what I'm saying? But had been unable to get his troops across the Tigris, describing John as a descendant of those magical magi, who had made obeisance to the infant Jesus. So, did Genghis Khan end up converting to Christianity? And is this who they're confusing with the Magi Prester, right? Because we know ain't no real King David, make no obeisance to no baby Jesus, in whose land he now ruled. Hugh said that he wielded an emerald scepter, right? It sounds like that blue sapphire staff in the book of Jasher. Hugh's story may have been based on the exploits of an actual Tartar king, Tartarius. The Tartars were often in contact with the far-flung Nestorian Christian communities of Central Asia and have shown interest in Christianity from time to time. We're talking Genghis and them. The idea that they might be descended from the lost tribes of Israel had helped encourage the dream that they would one day see the light, convert to Christianity en masse, and form the other jaw of the Christian pincer movement against Islam. So their story is that really Genghis Khan and them are going to convert to Christianity, but they're thinking that Genghis Khan's the real Prester, the real Khan, the great grand Khan. They're thinking he's really King David because he's calling himself David. He's using that David frequency, right, to confuse them. And they're like, yeah, he's going to convert, help us against Islam. And they're talking to the wrong man, the wrong Prester. They're talking to the pretender, not the genuine rabbi, right? And of course, the example of the mass conversion in the Central Asian steppes had been provided by the Khazars. Many Europeans eventually thought this had been a conversion to Christianity. Later on, there was widespread but mistaken belief that Genghis Khan had become a Christian. So even he didn't become a Christian. The Tartar version of the legend, was still strong enough in the late 13th century for Marco Polo, right? For Marco Polo to assume that a neighboring prince he had heard about while in Cathay was Prester John. But a new and more fantastic version had appeared in the latter part of the 12th century, some 20 years after the Second Crusade, advocated by Bishop Hugh, had ended in failure. No doubt the Christian imagination was now in greater need of a fantasy concerning the East, and this is what it got in the celebrated, quote, Prester John letter, a work of unknown provenance and authorship which no longer exists in its original verse. So if it's so hijacked and unknown, if it's a forgery, where's the original? We know it today only through a multitude of recapitulations published in the ensuing centuries in prose and in verse, in Latin, and in vernaculars, many of them embroidered with the fantasies of later generations of Christianity, hijacked. The summary that follows is based on an inferential reconstruction made in the 19th century of the original. And this is when they go into the letter. The letter is purportedly addressed to the Christian emperor, in some versions Manuel of Byzantium, and others Frederick Barbarossa. But again, if it's after 1202, I can't confirm or deny they're even talking about the real bloodline of King David. They could just be talking about some Genghis Khan hijack, pretending to be genuine, right? By John the Presbyter, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, in order to describe himself and his realm. Now that the knowledge of our greatness has reached you, John claims to have exceeded all men in riches, virtue, and power. When he rides forth in war, he is accompanied by more than 100,000 cavalrymen, more than 1 million foot soldiers, marching behind 13 enormous crosses made of gold and precious stones. 72 kings pay tribute to him. 30,000 men eat at his table every day, and they are served by 7 kings, 52 dukes, 365 counts, as well as by humbler retinue. Think it's play when you talk Prester John? Romans and Greek clergymen alike eat at John's side. The table itself is made of emerald, supported by legs of amethyst. Other tables in the palace are of gold and ivory. The palace, built after the pattern of one erected for King Gunderfor by Apostle Thomas, is a vast structure of shittim wood, ebony, gold, onyx, sardonyx, and crystal, man. John's bedchamber is bedecked with gold and precious stones, and his bed is made of sapphire. But the sapphire represents chastity, and though John has a harem of the most beautiful women in the world, he lies with one or another of them only 4 times a year altogether, solely for procreation. Nor is this the only demonstration that John's realm is not founded on mere untrimmed splendor. When he rides forth on ordinary occasions, he is preceded not by martial magnificence, but by an unadorned wooden towel or cross, and a vase full of earth to remind him of the passion of the Savior. Stop. See, this is when they start putting their crap in here. But we got before that this vase of earth is full of the sand of the Solbone, river, which flows 6 days and rests on the Sabbath. So they call it the Sabbath River because it flows for 6 days and rests on the Shabbat. And this dirt, this earth of this river reminds him when the Sabbath is, so they can't change times and laws on him or nobody else, because they follow the sand in this jar, in this vase. And whenever it stops, they know it's the Shabbat, it's the Sabbath. So they want to mark it as some Passion of the Savior, JC stuff, and of the dust to which he shall himself return. But they don't got the full story, man. So, this is just a little bit on it, man. We're going to belly flop into a couple pages here. Goes into the Solbone. But I just want to, again, talk fine print right quick. Repetition breaks the spell. So when they talk India, it says this confused geography has ancient and honorable roots. The first verse of the book of Esther describes the realm of the Persian king Ahasuerus, whose palace also was at Susa, as extending from India even into Ethiopia. So this they're talking about is vague, confused geography, because India is everywhere so-called dark-skinned people are, and Ethiopia is everywhere so-called burnt-faced people are. So there's not one Ethiopia, and it's not only one India, which is why Prester John is the king of the 3 Indias by now. Or the whole world, the whole earth, the highest of the kings of the earth, right? In Greek and Roman authors, there is a similar vagueness about the vast region taken in by terms like India and Ethiopia, the latter even in its narrowest sense comprising a much larger area from present-day Ethiopia and beginning just south of the first cataract of the Nile, and about its relationship with the better-known Persia and the apocryphal Acts of St. Thomas. The apostle moves easily between Persia and India, starting roughly with the 5th century apocryphal writer, the pseudo-Abdias, who describes the exploits of Apostle Thomas, Bartholomew, and Matthew in each of the 3 Indias. This later concept became a standard one in the Middle Ages. One of the 3 Indias faced Ethiopia, quote-unquote. Talking about Africa over there. According to pseudo-Abdias, the second faced Persia, and the third occupies the ends of the earth between the ocean and the rim of darkness, my lord. Sounds like where they found us at. They just found us here in the ends of the earth, in the far India, in the furthest India, in the far furthest east, my naga. Ends of the earth, my naga, between the ocean, the great ocean, and the rim of darkness. The third became especially fruitful for the geographical imagination, the region of untold islands, man, in which the plural term Indias, quote-unquote, etymologically one and the same as Indies, came to rest for once and for all. There also were less mysterious, more valid definitions of the 3 Indias among medieval geographers, but for most Europeans, even the learned ones, even the educated Europeans, the term covered a vast and distant region of dark-skinned people. So when they talk Indias, they're talking about a vast and distant, not close, but distant region of dark-skinned people. They're over there, close to that Africa over there. But this is a distant India, farthest India, distant region over here of dark-skinned people. Culminating, copper-colored khans found here, right? Culminating in the countless array of islands in one direction, and in Ethiopia, the biblical Kush in the other. So this distant region of Ethiopian, fiery-looking, burnt-faced, copper-colored khans is what we're talking about, you know, when we talk about the farthest, the third India, or the first, when we talk India Superior. This belly flopping here on page 45, Eldad goes on to describe a way of life that combined nomadic virtues and warlike valor with great wealth. These tribes possess much gold, silver, and precious stones, as well as sheep, oxen, camel, and asses. We're talking Eldad Hadani. But nevertheless, they sow, reap, and dwell in tents. They are splendid when going out to war. Then the trumpet is blown, 120,000 horsemen and 100,000 foot soldiers gather around their chief. There are people even more impressive than the Khazar, though the latter may well have been a source of inspiration for Eldad's story, and also undoubtedly were the Falashas and the highly independent and warlike Jews of Ethiopia itself. Another source is Zephaniah 3:10. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring my offering. Running along one of the borders of Eldad's homeland is a river 200 yards wide and full of sand and stones, but without water. The stones make a great noise like the waves of the sea and a stormy wind, so that in the night the noise is heard at a distance of half a day's journey. And this river of stone and sand rolls during the 6 working days and rests on the Sabbath day. So they have to carry some of that sand from the river, so they always know when it's the Shabbat, when that sand is at rest. As soon as the Sabbath begins, fire surrounds the river, and the flames remain until the next evening when the Sabbath ends. Thus no human being can reach the river for the distance of half a mile on either side. The fire consumes all that grows there. This river is called the Sandmanyan. Clearly it is an ancestor of the river of stones in the Prester John letter. This is especially evident in the 1507 English version cited above, where its traits even include that the stopping only on the Saturday, Eldad, in accordance with an already ancient Jewish tradition or Israelite tradition, from which he differs only in locating the river in Ethiopia instead of Syria. But where is it really? Has made the legendary Sandmanyan a boundary line between the lost tribes and their neighbors. This is the 148th installment of your Prester John investigation. Halal HaWah. Wow. We did it again. Keeping the water flowing, my nigga, is a science, man. It's scientific. It needs to be repeatable. It needs to be observable. Don't give up when you hit a boundary, man. Even if it's boundary after boundary after boundary, the water must flow through these boundaries, man. You must hit your tile. You must hit your target. And sometimes you gotta forcibly command a positive thought. Forcibly command a positive thought. I said forcibly command your positive thinking to overcome the static of hijacked city, because one thought can manifest a true reality. Meditating on our code manifests our true reality. Because the code is you. Because the code is us. Remember, the code has to do with our mental frequency. And I'm a skate out of here on this, man. Last time we featured this mental frequency, and it had no sound, man. It had no sound. But we're gonna belly flop here with some sound on the way out the door. And I want you to relate this, my naga, relate this to keeping the code and observing. Relate this to Deuteronomy 28. If you hearken to the voice of HaWah, the voice is the sound, the frequency, the vibration, to observe the frequency, to observe the code. You get your Baruch, right? You get your blessings, and if you don't, then you get the opposite. Then you got all these curses and curses and curses and curses. So we want to avoid that by observing, and you are the observer. For the dismount, Halal HaWah. We did it again. Let's frequency up for the dismount. Shalom to my Khan.
Simple observers of reality. We are its co-creators. Human perception has always been viewed as passive. Our senses capture reality, and the brain processes this information to create an image of the world around us. However, this understanding has been questioned. Every thought, every emotion is a manifestation of energy, a vibrational pattern that spreads throughout the universe and interacts with the energy waves around us. The concept that reality is a holographic projection gives us a key to understand how our mind works in this process. The universal hologram, as we described earlier, is a dynamic reality formed by energetic patterns, and the human mind doesn't just observe these energies, but also projects them, shaping what we perceive as reality. To understand this more deeply, we need to explore the concept of the hologram and how it applies to the human mind. A hologram, in essence, is a three-dimensional projection that contains all the information of an object or image, even when divided into parts. If we consider reality as a hologram, this implies that everything we perceive, from the physical world around us to the emotions and thoughts we feel, is an energetic projection of patterns interacting in complex ways. In this model, each human being is both a receptor and a projector of these patterns. The human mind, then, is not just a screen on which the images of reality are projected. It is a dynamic tool, an antenna that tunes and projects energy patterns to create the perception of the world. This perception is not a simple copy of what is outside of us, but an active projection shaped by the mental frequencies we emit. The mental frequency, which is determined by our thoughts, emotions, and states of consciousness, interacts directly with the energy field around us, adjusting how we see and experience reality. The relationship between mental frequency and reality perception is crucial. When our mind is aligned with higher frequencies, our perception expands, allowing us to access more subtle and expansive layers of reality. On the other hand,
so when our mind is aligned with the Creator, right, with higher frequencies, you are now tapped into your reality and outside of this matrix of confusion and all these so-called curses and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You start tapping into your Baruch, your treasured houses as treasured ones that get activated through the frequency. HaWah gave us the code to activate the frequency, because the codes are what are needed for activation. To keep the code is to activate, man. Activate, vibrate, right? Off the balcony, we've been saying it. Activate, vibrate, and you activate by KTC, keep the code. MHOE, most high over everything. No power before me. Rule number 1. Exodus 20 got us in code. You meditate on your source. When you meditate on not killing your brother, not stealing, you know what I'm saying, from your brother, when you meditate on that, you you create a reality. You manifest the reality. It's like it's already encoded that it has to meet your frequency, right? Your reality has to meet your frequency. And when you meditate on coding up and being tribing up, right? We've been saying tribing up, now they saying they pushing peace, right? It's all the same thing. You pushing prosperity, you pushing peace. It's all the same thing. You are prosperous in code with HaWah. You get the blessings, not the curses. You observe, you're the observer, you're the witness to collapse the wave pattern on one possibility, which is paradise, rather than looking at it through their eye, through their all-seeing eye. Right now you're observing this particle being collapsed on everything wicked. But HaWah gave us the dragonfly perspective so we can observe through HaWah's eye, and then what? Activate a reality of one possibility, which is your promised land, which is your Shalom, which is your peace, your Baruch on Baruch, Khan. So activating comes with observation. You observe the code, you get this. You don't observe, it's all happening. And you don't want it to be all happening, like we said, where all the bad things are also happening. You don't want to wake up in your house and it's all happening. You want certain things to be happening, right? Good things to be happening. But that comes with observation and getting everyone in your house to observe, right? So that they are now in code and can wake up. You know, when you eat right, you feel better, right? When you do right, you feel better. It's like when they're seeing clearly, they got their dragon back. We all are doing better. When you're tapped into the higher frequencies, you get freedom.
Higher frequencies, our perception expands, allowing us to access more subtle and expansive layers of reality. On the other hand, when our frequencies are misaligned, perhaps due to stress, fear, or doubts.
And what do? They keep us in stress, fear, and doubt. They keep the 5G towers blazing on us. They keep all these stuff they spraying in the sky on us, the GMO foods. It keeps us in fear, stress, all their propaganda, social media, fear, stress, doubt. I need to make enough money, Moneta, Juno, fear, stress, doubt. Police brutality, fear, stress, doubt.
Our perception tends to narrow, making the world around us seem more limited and challenging.
Bang.
This is not just a matter of how we see things, but of how our mind projects reality, creating what we perceive as real. The scientific explanation behind this idea is supported by recent studies in quantum physics and neuroscience, which show how the human mind is constantly interacting with the quantum field that permeates the universe.
Okay.
Every thought we have generates an energy wave that propagates through the quantum field.
They say if you think about something for 7 seconds, you begin to manifest it. So when you meditate on HaWah, you begin to manifest it.
Influencing what we perceive and even what we experience as our reality. This leads us to believe that the mind is a creative force that shapes, distorts, and redefines reality in real time. This process can be understood through a simple but powerful example. Imagine you are looking at a piece of paper. What you see is not exactly the paper as it is, but rather an interpretation by your mind. The light reflecting off the paper enters your eyes, but it is your brain that creates the image you see of it. In other words, what you perceive of the paper is a projection of your mind.
In other words, you don't see through your eyes, you see it through your brain bone, through that third eye, right? Your eyes are just picking up the light spectrum and not even all of it, like less than 1% of it. So you're not even seeing anything around you for real. You're just seeing the visible, perceivable light, you know what I mean? But when you tap in, you start to see clearly.
Not the paper itself. This means that just as you interpret the paper, your mind is constantly projecting interpretations about everything around you. The simple act of observing anything already involves your mind projecting a version of reality based on your own mental filters, past experiences, and emotional states. And just as a hologram can be manipulated and altered with the simple adjustment of a frequency,
And if they're saying it's a hologram, then they're saying it can be simply adjusted with frequency. Why did they change the radio frequency or the music standard pitch from 840, 432 to 440? Why does this 8 hertz make a difference? Why does it make everything distorted? You hear it sounding the same, but it's a distorted version of reality. What are all these chemtrails about? What's all these GMOs about, right? Like, what happens when they distort your frequency? Keep you in a low vibration.
See, our reality can also be consciously shaped, depending on the mental frequencies we choose to align. When we become more aware of our role as projectors of our own reality, we begin to perceive the magnitude of our influence on the world around us. This understanding leads us to true freedom.
Freedom.
The freedom to create the reality we wish to live by simply adjusting the frequency with
which is the promised land. Hear this again. Hear this again. When you are aligned with HaWah, what comes next?
World around us. This understanding leads us to true freedom.
True freedom.
Be manipulated and altered with the simple adjustment of a frequency. Our reality can also be consciously shaped, depending on the mental frequencies we choose to align.
So if you align your mental frequency by meditating on the code,
when we become more aware of our role as projectors of our own reality,
or our role as the function as the Prester, Khan,
we begin to perceive the magnitude of our influence on the world around us.
We see everyone's now pushing the peace and tribing up, man, because it's the way.
This understanding leads us to true freedom.
Ooh, which is all we ever wanted. Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 15. Shalom when we come in, shalom when we come out, we in shalom.
The freedom to create the reality we wish to live by simply adjusting the frequency with which we interact with the universe.
HaWah.
As we discussed earlier, the human mind, with all its complexity, has the power to transcend the limits of common perception, allowing us to connect with different layers of reality. But to access these layers, it takes more than just a simple attempt to see what is beyond the immediate reach of our senses. It is necessary to adjust the mental frequency, just as a radio tunes to different stations. Simply
Which is why they call it channeling. Lego.
put, reality, like an interconnected hologram, responds to our consciousness, and by altering this consciousness, we can access deeper, broader, and often more mysterious dimensions of perception. The Gateway Process, a declassified CIA document, offers a window to understand how we can expand consciousness in a controlled way. This study revealed that the human mind can be guided into altered states of perception through specific practices, which allow access to realities not easily captured by the common senses. These practices not only expand our perception, but also alter our relationship with time, space, and even the very nature of reality.
HaWah.
Are you ready to see your brand on TV? Your competitors will wish.
Hey. Run for your life. Hey. We catch a vibe. Hey.
Our deep meditation, hemisphere synchronization, and visualization alter our relationship with time, space, and even the very nature of reality. Among the most powerful techniques described in this study are deep meditation, hemisphere synchronization, and visualization. Deep meditation allows the practitioner to disconnect from external distractions and focus their attention inward, creating a state of calm and openness that facilitates access to higher states of consciousness. When we enter this state, the mind begins to perceive layers of reality that normally remain beyond sensory perception.
Do you see clearly? How do you find your dragon?
Hemisphere synchronization is a more advanced technique that seeks to balance the functions of the two brain hemispheres, which in their natural state operate slightly out of coordinate.
I don't believe that. I don't believe they're out of coordinate. coordination. I believe they're being placed out of coordination with these frequencies, with these towers everywhere, with this spraying on us, fumigating us, man, with this 440 hertz, man.
Coordination. By using specific sounds and frequencies, synchronization allows both hemispheres to work in harmony, creating a mental state where the boundaries between normal perception and subtle realities begin to disappear. This state of mental coherence facilitates connection with higher dimensions of consciousness.
So there's a boundary like the 369, and the 9 is the boundary, but there ain't no boundary when you are aligned, right? You can cross boundaries, right? There ain't no boundary because even with the number 9, and the 9 is everything and the 9 is nothing, right? You could take 9 out the equation to get the right answer. You know, if I said simplify the number 199, you can add that up and say 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 9 is 19, 9 plus 1 is 10, and 1 plus 0 is 1. Okay, so 199 equals 1. Or you could just take out the 9s from the get-go, and you just got 1, right? Because 9 is everything or it's nothing. So in the law of 9s, you can simplify these long numbers. If they add up to 9, just take it out and act like it don't even exist, and you'll still get that same answer. You know what I'm saying? Because the 9 is everything and nothing. The boundary is everything and nothing once you're aligned.
Disappear. This state of mental coherence facilitates connection with higher dimensions of consciousness, allowing the practitioner to access information not immediately available to the logical, analytical mind. Another technique used in this CIA study is visualization. Visualization is a technique where the mind is guided to create vivid images of intentions, desires, or experiences.
So when you meditate on a code, what's your intention? Is to be hijack free, MHOE, KTC, to push peace and be in a state of Halal HaWah? Can you meditate and visualize your tribe coming together? Can you visualize your state of peace? Can you visualize these positive experiences where you're not killing each other, stealing from each other, coveting each other's things, bearing false witness on each other, honoring your framer, your shaper, your mother, your father? Can you visualize?
And by doing so, the mind begins to attract and interact with the corresponding energies and reactions.
By default, the mind gives you reality, right? HaWah gives you reality by default when you are aligned, when you are in peace, when you choose peace, when you choose Halal HaWah, when you stop doing the demon time and lurking and sliding on each other and killing each other, right? So in the hoods, there's a unity flow because it's natural for us to be unified. It's natural for us to be code keepers. It's natural for us to be in peace with each other. And they put us in a state of chaos by putting us in all this horrible vibration, you know what I'm saying, in slavery and invasions and all this stuff, man, retelling our history, hijacking us, lying to us, brainwashing us, putting us against each other. We coming out of that, we realizing, yo, we the copper colored tribes found here. And we could bring it back, man, bring it back for a stack to a time where our reality is Halal HaWah, peace.
Realities. Visualization is not just a passive mental process, but an active creation mechanism. By visualizing something, the mind begins to align its frequency with the energy needed to manifest what has been imagined, thus altering perception and interaction with reality.
Let go.
To understand how these techniques work, it's essential to grasp the concept of altered states of consciousness. When the mind enters deep meditation or high concentration states, it detaches from the limitations of normal sensory perception. The brain enters a higher or lower frequency, depending on the technique used, and this allows the practitioner to access other layers of reality. In simple terms, these states allow the mind to see what cannot normally be seen, or to perceive what is beyond conventional human vision.
Do you see?
This expansion of consciousness not only alters perception, but also opens up new possibilities for interaction with the universe around us.
Wow.
The concept of mental frequency is crucial to understanding how the expansion of consciousness can be applied to access different realities. The frequency of the mind, which can be adjusted through practices like meditation, visualization, and hemisphere synchronization, determines the quality of the reality we experience. For example, when the mind is tuned to lower frequencies, it connects to a denser reality, more related to matter and the perception of space and time.
Now we killing
But
each
when the
other in the
mental
hood. Now we going at each other's neck bone because we're in a denser frequency. But when the mental frequency
is elevated, the mind begins to perceive subtler realities
now we pushing peace. Now we tribing up.
Beyond time and space, accessing information and experiences that are not available in ordinary reality. These practices of expanding consciousness offer more than a simple way of seeing reality.
Hijack, it's never late.
Differently. They allow us to perceive the underlying structure of reality, the energy patterns that form it, and connect us with dimensions of existence that go beyond what we can perceive with our physical senses.
You connect to the Creator again. We come home again.
When trained and prepared, the human mind is capable of accessing these realities and interacting with them, thus altering its own perception of life and the universe. When we practice focused intention, such as visualizing a goal or firmly believing in something we desire, we are adjusting our mental frequency to attract that reality. The mind, when aligned with this frequency, begins to perceive opportunities, create internal changes, and even generate behaviors that lead us to that reality. This is a clear example of how we can consciously and actively distort our perception of reality. And so, the perception of reality stops being a mere reaction to external stimuli and begins to be shaped by our own mind through the conscious control of our internal frequencies. Human consciousness, by understanding and applying this power, becomes capable of creating a world more aligned with its deepest intentions.
Promised land.
The true understanding of the universe and the mind reveals that both are deeply intertwined, functioning as a single network of energy and perception. After all, reality is not something fixed and
it's not fixed, which means you can change it. What are your intentions? Meditate on it. And when we do it as a tribe, like we've been doing it, we see real change in it. Don't mean you don't get jammed up, but just pay attention, man. See clearly to how you're affecting others, how it's now cool to talk about being indigenous, man. Now I see regular channels when they talk about, even when they mention something about being, out of Africa, they also say, but we also hear that we already here, we already from here. They have to start implementing it because that's the fabric of reality that you are manifesting, because every thought carries energy. So sometimes you gotta force, man, command a positive thought to command your frequency, to command your energy, because nothing is fixed. You get this or you get that, right? You're the observer. Quantum, right? The particle knows when it's being observed, and when you observe the particle, it collapses the wave pattern on one possibility. When that particle is not being observed, scientifically, quantum speaking, it hits every single possibility. It forms the complete wave. But that's not all good. That means everything is happening. We don't want everything to be happening in our house. We want a certain probability of peace and shalom and paradise. That means you observe specifically his commandments, right? That means you observe specifically not killing each other, not stealing from each other. No gods, no powers, no Christ, no Muhammad before the Creator, or even called in any reference to the above, right? The creator. We talk about most high. And that's it. We don't got to be religious to tribe up again and say most high over everything. Our source, our code over everything. And with that, we've created clear intentions. What's our intentions in Drop Nation? Most high over everything. KTC, that's our intentions, period. Very simple. Drop, what's your intention behind every video you drop, behind everything you're saying? KTC, keep the code. Most high over everything. You know this if you're surfing the wave for real, for real. Whether we talking Prester or flat drop, our flat drop is only to prove the creator's work. Most high over everything. Indigenous truth is to prove that the creator's land, that this is the promised land. We're still proving the creator's work. When we talk frequency 369, we still proving the creator's work, manan. Con. We talk the code, you know, we talking about the actual manifestation, man. You know what I'm saying? Of your reality, because nothing's fixed. You keep the commandments, you got the blessings. You don't keep the commandments, you got the curses. Nothing is fixed for the dismount.
And immutable, but a dynamic projection that we can influence. And when we recognize our ability to alter our perception of reality, we embrace the power to live more consciously, transforming our experience of life and our connection with the universe. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me.
Hey, thank you for surfing the wave with me, man, because I'm surfing the wave with you. We know that this is, you know, our promised land. We know that we have made it back home, and I appreciate y'all for surfing the wave, man. You know, avoiding all hijacks, all static. Appreciate all the comments from the last video from 147, man, and love to Julian Matthews, who said your research is wise, and I am glad you are a soldier of truth. Let me share some information. You got some drop, Julian? Let's go. That might assist your endeavors. All right, Drop Nation, take some notes. Let's go. I moved to Baja to continue my research. We're talking about Baja, California, which is interesting because nobody ever really talks about living in Baja, right? The nicknames of the cities hold the key. I live in La Paz, the Pearl, the Illusion, the city of many names. This was according to Cortez, the home of Queen Khalifa. I would suggest you look at the Calavera or Google Original Skull, Mount Calvary. I also suggest to you that you take a look at Moulege, the Bay of Conception. If you watch the Jason Voyage, pay attention to the battle scenes by the arches. This was Cabo until it was destroyed and rebuilt. Cabo. Right, Cabo. What does Cabo got to do with Kabbalah? All right, until it was destroyed and rebuilt. There are many young people here that understand the truth, man. Love to the Baja family that understand the truth, man. Peace. We both know what we do has little respect. However, the truth must be told based on facts, not fiction. And my naga, like, the real one's gonna respect it, and everybody else don't even matter because they're not contributing to this manifestation, right? This reality, right? This is my life. I die for the truth, for the youth. I'm here. Peaceful, man. Julian got the drop, man. Max appreciation, respect, keep the water flow, man. And again, sorry for the tech difficulties without the sound, but we got the sound this time. No need for apologies. Ahab to Tick Rick, man. Anyone who's ever recorded several hours of anything knows that glitches, errors, and mistakes happen, let alone hours of drops straight off the top, just like we're doing right now. But we got it now, man. We steady water, man. Hey, I appreciate you too, Tick, man. And legendary stuff. Keep us informed on things parents never taught us. Respect that. FYN got the drop. Zion Train got the drop. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for the food drop. I get to go on that journey again. Much Halal HaWah. MHOE. KTC. Shalom, Zion. Ahab. We searching for the truth. Leads to the best version of you. Charles Johnson got the drop. The sauce. Forcing positive thoughts, man. Sometimes you gotta force a hijack. Force a hijack to get out your mind. You got to control your thoughts. You know, you got to dodge all those evil wild beasts in your head. Oh, Sylvanus, the teachings of Sylvanus and the Nag Hammadi said, you know, guard your gates and get them evil wild beasts out of your gates, man. We slicing and dicing pomegranates. We slicing and dicing tennis balls, man. All the cons checked in. I appreciate y'all checking in again. And this time in 148, we got the sound. We got the flow. We got the frequency. Hey, Drake Tosh, man. He's ready like Freddie, man. Hey, he said for it in my Taiwan. Let's get it, man. Rashad Poet, man. Shout out to Rashad Poet. I got his book. Somebody's Been Lying, man. Great author. He said, check your inbox, Ken Flo, trying to sing yourself. I appreciate you, man. Hey, I'm going to check it. And I apologize because I don't be in my inboxes like that, man. I don't be in my DMs like that. I don't even be on my emails like that. But, you know, I'm just trying to keep my energy pure water, and I appreciate y'all patience because when I get there, I'm there, man. I'm in there, man. Hey, dun, 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 they not like us. They not like us. Shout out to Lord Jamal. Let go.
If it was, then why is it dark in space? The sun and moon are right here in the atmosphere. It's clear. It's that information that these bastards fear. I send an invitation to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Want to debate him because I feel that his ass lying. How is defying gravity? If it's holding down the ocean, that's a ridiculous notion. The water always finds its level. It can't curve on a ball, but y'all to have the nerve and the gall to call me a flat earther.
What?
That's the elephant in the room.
Let go.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. Okay, the sun is 93 million miles away. If it was, then why is it dark in space? The sun and moon are right here in the atmosphere. It's clear. It's that information that these bastards fear. I send an invitation to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Want to debate him because I feel that his ass lying. Now it's defying gravity. If it's holding down the ocean, that's a ridiculous notion. The water always finds its level. It can't curve on a ball, but y'all to have the nerve and the gall to call me a flat earther.
Hey, Lord Jamal popping off, man. Make sure you on our IG. Make sure you popping off with the cons, man, at all time. And I appreciate all your comments, man. And I'm going to keep on digging on it. Forcing positive thoughts. 147, Copper No Sis. Let's go. Let's get it. Shalom to the cons. Ahab to all the Khan dynasty. Stay up. Suit up. Choose Halal. HaWah. Tribe up.